as as the home plate umpire there. So obviously you're not going to have a trend for every single umpire. You'll have some that are towards the over, you'll have some towards the under, some that favor home teams, some teams favor road teams, and that again, it's not something you solely want to base your bets off of, but it's something that you want to probably have as a tool. When you're handicapping baseball or even basketball or NFL as well as where when we talk about handicapping games. So that's just something that I did want to, bring up or point out to you guys. But I mean, yeah, again, like there's so many different trends and things that you can look at when it comes to, NBA referees, umpires, and NFL referees. Again, like I mentioned, not every referee will have something, but there are some that will stick out like a sore thumb.
Well, if I want to follow up on your mention of Donaghy, and I cannot believe that there isn't more media attention about Pat Hoiberg. And
yes.
Look, Manfred's office comes out and makes an announcement saying we can't make an announcement. But why say anything if you can't give any details? I firmly believe this doesn't go back to spring training. It goes back to last September when they pulled him off saying he had an injury. He did 2 straight World Series, got no postseason assignments, right? I'd love to know. I wish, he has a right as the accused. What did they say he did? He's appealing it, but nobody can say the specific charges. We talk about DeJounte Parker and all these Major League Baseball players that bit players and that, and minor leaguers. This is the biggest story of all, and nobody's really covering it.
It's interesting that the players get the biggest coverage. I mean, Tim Donaghy was on a whole different level, right? I mean, there's documentaries. There's the 60-minute documentary. There's a whole book. That's actually.
Please stand by for a special presentation of Western Reserve Radio at westernreserveradio.com on the Live 365 network and the Live 365 app.
Virginia, as Western Reserve Radio and the iMedia One Network, in conjunction with the National Public Safety Football League, are proud to bring you the NPSFL Division I National Championship today, as NYPD's finest, they make their way down from the Big Apple to take on the Roanoke Rampage, trying to win back-to-back national titles. Hello everyone, Jim Craven with you, and privileged to be joined by John Heffernan this week as we get ready for what should be a great battle between two teams who, for the most part, won 4 games in a row. Little hiccup for Roanoke at the end, but that game did not count for them. So we have 2 undefeated teams here competing for the Division I trophy.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jim Craven, first of all, let's give it up for the big man. I mean, we're coming from points far and wide, Jim. It's a thrill to be here. Came down from New York yesterday. Jim, I know you're all the way out in Ohio, so I think I bring that up only to mention the stakes are high in this one. They're pulling out all the stops. You mentioned 2 undefeated teams, and first-year head coach Clive Harding for NYPD going for his first national championship. NYPD 12-2 in national championship games, and it's a year of the comeback for them. They were winners of the Fun City Bowl just 3 weeks ago in New York against the fire department, and I got to give so much credit to this Roanoke Rampage team, Jim. You know, it wasn't too long ago that they were toiling down in Division II. They win the national championship there. They fight their way up and get bumped up to Division I, and here they are on the cusp of their first ever Division I national championship, and on home soil, home turf, I might add. So the home field advantage, the host team, it should be a good one, Jim. As you can tell, Johnny Heff is excited.
And you talk about Roanoke winning the Division II National Championship last year, stepping right up, filling that Division I spot, and a lot of things going on for Roanoke this year. A first. They get their first win on the road in franchise history. Did not know that until April. So they've improved in that area, but they've been on the road as well. They've headed out to Las Vegas. They've been in Tennessee. So they've been road warriors and really spreading the word about the NPSFL with these special events.
Well, we got the president of the NPSFL here today, Jeff Price, and a hot day here in Roanoke, to say the least. I mean, they're saying the on-field temperature, Jim, is going to be close to 120 degrees, and that's certainly going to be a storyline we can get into just a little bit later. But, Jim, you know, you mentioned the league, you mentioned the way the paths these two teams have taken to get here. Don't forget, Jim, the first meeting between the NYPD and the Roanoke Rampage. So that's pretty unique in and of itself, and certainly no better game to play a first-time head-to-head matchup than in a national championship game.
Yeah, and it's a very good introduction to Division I. When you're taking on the gold standard in New York, and well, I'll say NYPD's finest because we also have FDNY. But speaking from experience, that first game with New York is a very eye-opening. Great athletes, phenomenal structure in the team, and they've been around since about 1972, and that's a story all of on its own.
Absolutely, and you know, you look at, you talk about sort of the competitive nature from 2-1. Look, Charlotte beat this Roanoke Rampage team in their last regular season game of the year, their last game. And granted, it was down in North Carolina. Maybe not as many players from Roanoke able to travel with the team. So perhaps a little bit of a blip on the radar. Wouldn't pay too much attention to that loss. But listen, they lose to the fire department of New York City last year by 1 point, Jim. These guys can play with anybody. I don't care about injuries. Of course, I care about injuries, but personnel, you can throw all the records out the window in this game. One of the things I do wonder about, though, Jim, is so much emphasis put on that rivalry between the New York City Police Department and the bravest of the fire department. And do you think, you know, maybe they left too much out of the field? And how hard is it for the police department to get up for a game like this?
Oh, which is an excellent point, because there's two aspects here. For Roanoke, they have the home field advantage. However, you take a look at New York, the one thing that they've always had, and it's been their advantage, is the depth on the roster. It's been the next man up philosophy for them, and they have been phenomenal at it. And certainly, I would see nothing different tonight. Today, they look like they've traveled well. And if you see a few backups there, I wouldn't be surprised. But for NYPD, again, that depth is just going to be key.
Absolutely. Well, certainly you got to give the edge to the New York City Police Department as far as depth is concerned. A much larger roster from top to bottom, numbers-wise, to say the least. But I got to tell you, there's confidence coming from that Roanoke room that I saw with my own two eyes. A very relaxed group, a very quietly confident group. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. These guys believe they will win today, and they're taking on the Kings of New York right now in the Fire Department of New York, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, certainly. When I talk about NYPD, I talk about the gold standard. They've set what the rest of the league has done. Roanoke has followed that pattern, and they have becoming a great organization, especially over the last 4 or 5 years, where I've actually gotten to see them up in the Cleveland area, down here against a very tough Chicago team, who I actually put up in the same bracket with the New York teams, and they were able to get the win over the Chicago Enforcers. That tells me they've taken that next step, and Division I is where they belong.
Absolutely. You know, I was watching some tape from that Chicago game, and Rodney Smith, I think, had an interception, or was that Spradlin? I think it was Spradlin who had the INT. And, you know, secondary play is certainly a veteran core for the Rampage, and it starts with Wesley Ritchie, number 23, a hard hitter, may not be the fastest guy, but I only bring that up because that secondary, it's a core group of guys that have been together now for 3 and 4 years, and veteran play always comes into play in a game like today.
And I can only relate to the Cleveland situation with the Cleveland Warriors. That team was together for almost 8, maybe 10 years, depending on the comings and goings. But that was important in terms of the communication. And when changes had to be made, in either at the beginning of the game or at halftime, it was a lot easier. Guys understood what each other was doing, and it really took the stress off the coaches and made it a really fluid type of machine.
I hate to put you on the spot, Jim, but certainly it's going to be a big resource for me today. Tell me a little bit about your background as a player and semi-pro football in Cleveland and how you got to be here today.
Yeah, fortunately, I was able to find the Cleveland Warriors living down in Youngstown there. So I spent 10 seasons with them, traveling from border to border and coast to coast, having a good time, maybe more fun than we should have been having.
Right.
But a lot of success there, and I wouldn't trade that for the world. But it's a completely different situation having played with the semi-pro world, traveling with first responders. There's a different feel to it and different focus, as a matter of fact. And I can't really compare the two, to be quite honest. In terms of travel, we ended up out in Los Angeles for a national championship game one time, and certainly that was an experience to have. That one day where you felt like you were kind of the center of the football world.
Yeah,
and,
so cool.
Unfortunately, we came out on the short end of that, but nonetheless, wouldn't trade it for anything. And now still on the job today as we go. So next step is retirement.
Tell me a little bit about the current iteration of Jim Craven on the job.
Yeah, it became an assistant chief with the Mercy Police Department. Hopefully, Chief Bonacci's listening there from Mercy. He was also into the semi-pro and college world, so a lot of good there. But serving up in Youngstown, Ohio, and staying busy as always, especially in these hot temperatures. But it's I'm closer to the end than I am the beginning, and it's been quite the ride, especially when you add in the football aspect to it and why we were able to play football in the way that we did there in terms of the charities and the fun that we've had, and the camaraderie, honestly, between the teams.
Well, you talk about you coming to an end and maybe, the broadcasting is taken off for you now. There are a lot of players out there who are coming to the end of their careers. One of them, Epperly, for the Roanoke Rampage. I had a chance to talk with him before the game, number 99, Brian Epperly. I mean, this guy is, 6'4", 330 pounds, offensive lineman. He is a house of a guy, 40 years old, playing in his last game, and his young baby daughter and his wife, who's expecting, will be here at the game today. And he says, look, man, I want to go out on top. It's my last game. And talk a little bit about, Jim, that sort of ebb and flow of what it means to be not only an officer on the job, a member of the team, juggling family, the football life, getting to practice, being pulled in a lot of different directions. It's a unique position for any athlete to be in.
Yeah, certainly the job in and of itself is demanding the extra hours that you put in, but in terms of football, we know it's about detail. It's about learning, the concepts. It's about learning those little things that go on, and so the time invested, it does take considerable time away from what you would normally be doing, but the one thing I found out was involving my family in it and having a good time and the great people that were part of that organization. And when you make your family part of that, it was just such a nice ride, and certainly I hated to see it come to an end.
One, yeah.
Certainly, if you could take both of them and kind of mash them together, for lack of a better phrase, but they all became great friends, and we would get to travel together. And it was one of the things that my young son, will always remember in terms of going to, maybe to Dallas or down to Tampa to play a game. And then coming home telling mom about it, hopefully not everything, but,
Right. Memories he'll always have and likely never forget.
And I think one of the reasons, and he's a hockey player, ironically, of all things,
right.
because I hate the cold, but he loves hockey. But I think he learned a lot by being in those locker rooms about leadership, about, the responsibility to other people, and it's really made him a great young man, and certainly couldn't be more proud of him.
Well, I mean, there you have it, folks. I mean, what's really better than that? And it also speaks to kind of passing it down a little bit. I look at Clive Harding, the first-year head coach for the New York City Police Department, and Jim, first-year head coach is a little bit of a misnomer because this guy's been part of the NYPD football team since he's 14 years old. He's the head coach of boys and girls in Brooklyn, a successful high school program. Was the offensive coordinator for the New York City Police Department for many years, and he's vying for his first national championship as a head coach. But Jimmy talks so much about that family element, and I don't want to get too cheesy with it, but what a beautiful story with your son. And I hear it from the players. You know, Kyle Johnson, who is the MVP of the Fun City Bowl against the fire department, I asked him, hey, could you maybe highlight one or two of your plays from that game that I can talk about in the air? He said, I said, it was your best game of the year. I said, what's your number one memory from that game? He said, the fact that I could play that game in front of Officer Tim Diller's widow and Tim Diller's son, who was shot and killed on the job in Queens about a month ago. And that was what was important to him. So, you know, with all of the bravado of the game of football, you don't know these guys like you until you talk to them face to face, and you hear some of the stories. And to be able to pull back the curtain a little bit, Jim, I really think is important for the public to know that you guys are human beings, and you have a job that's very difficult. And I think sport brings so much out of both of these teams and the league as a whole.
Yeah, certainly. Again, New York is the gold standard, setting the tradition that you see with the honoring of these fallen officers, FDNY with the fallen firefighters, and certainly nobody knows more about loss than the city of New York, and they do a great job with it.
Absolutely. Well, Tim, as we get closer to the anthem and kickoff, I know we got a lot to break down. I don't know if you want to go to break and come back and do another reset welcome, or you want to just keep going?
Well, I think we're going to do that. We're going to step aside for a quick timeout. You are listening to the Division I National Public Safety Football League Championship here on Western Reserve Radio, part of the iMedia One Network. We'll be right back after this.
Please stand by for a special presentation of
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
Catch all of the spring and summer action of Cleveland Cobras minor league football on Western Reserve Radio. Follow the Cobras as they compete against teams from around the region in pursuit of a Tri-Point Football League championship. And if you're looking to continue your football career after high school, college, or even the pros, or to be part of the Cobras staff, go to Facebook at Cleveland Cobras Football, or contact owner Jesse Caldwell at 330-416-3442. Be a part of the excitement of Cleveland Cobras football. The Mahoning Valley's leader for golf, Milk Creek Golf Course, is now booking tee times for 2024. We offer stay and play opportunities available with 9 area hotel partners. For more information, visit our website at millcreekmetroparks.org. Also, look for new, exciting opportunities coming soon, including an indoor player development center with Trackman, an indoor Callaway Club Fitting Center, and an Odyssey Fitting Studio in 2024. Follow us on Facebook at Milk Creek Golf Course or call 330-740-7112.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
Youngstown, Warren, and Salem's local and national sports talk can be found on TuneIn and the Live 365 app at Western Reserve Radio. WRDB, The Scourge.
Virginia, Willis Whitefield, as we get ready for the Division I National Public Safety Football League Championship. And again, we alluded to it earlier. One of the key stories today is going to be the heat. Having been up here in the press box, 95 degrees when we got in here earlier, opened the windows a little bit better, but down on the field we're talking about 115 when I was here down with the thermometer. And again, we talk about that depth. That's going to be key because they're going to have to rotate players in and out during this game.
Well, once again, for those of you just joining us, John Heffern and Jim Craven bringing you the broadcast today. Jim, I can't thank you enough for including me today on this stage, and what a stage it's going to be, Jim. But as you just mentioned, a very hot one. And I don't want to belabor the point, Jim, but when you're talking about 115 degrees on the field, and in excess of that, with a high of 95 today forecast in Roanoke, Virginia. We are technically in Salem as we get ready for the national anthem. Jim, it's certainly going to be a factor. It's going to affect personnel, and the narrative I'm getting from both sides is, listen, we're going to be working in as many guys as possible, and NYPD, you're going to have to give them the edge, depth and numbers-wise, with the bigger roster. And, Jimmy, here they come, NYPD taking the field.
And the NYPD coming out in their blue jerseys, white numerals, the gold helmets, and the gold pants, reminiscent of Notre Dame, but make no mistake, that has been the NYPD pattern for decades. So they do a good job with the presentation here. And, again, I've had one experience with them, and I'll tell you, big, strong, fast, and well-coached would describe NYPD.
And it all starts with their quarterback, Davian Quinlan, who's a Fun City Bowl champion. The last time NYPD played 3 weeks ago, it was Quinlan lighting it up, especially in that second half. He's a mobile guy. He can run with the football. You will see some design plays centered under center with Davian Quinlan. But he has got a major target in Kyle Johnson, the MVP of that Fun City Bowl, number 9 with 2 touchdowns in the Fun City Bowl. His number 1 receiving target, Kyle Johnson, certainly a player to watch.
And that'll be a great matchup. The receivers from the NYPD, and we talked about the secondary from Roanoke, but what key for Roanoke actually getting pressure on that quarterback from NYPD because the offensive line is outstanding.
Absolutely, and I think we're going to honor America before the anthem. We've got the Roanoke Rampage. Rampaging out of the field. Look at these guys. 3 American flags leading the way.
Rampage officially 4-1 on the season. They dropped their last game of the season to the Charlotte Cobras by a score of 18-0, but we're going to take into consideration the travel on that one. However,
Jeff Brown, number 14, out of Blacksburg, PD, with the flag, along with number 52, Eddie Ensminger, out of the Salem Fire Department, one of the 2 flag bearers for the Rampage. I don't know, I'm getting all pumped up, Jim. We mentioned Kyle Johnson, the guy who's been appointed to cover Kyle Johnson today. Wesley Ritchie's going to have his hands full, but is welcoming the challenge.
Certainly that matchup will be important, and I think for Roanoke, it'll be the idea of keeping the emotions in check in that first quarter, as NYPD has a lot of experience here.
And I think we're going to go to the coin toss eventually. And, you know, we got a very special guy out there on the field, Jim, for the coin toss and for the anthem. 8-year-old girl, beauty pageant contestant, Aya will be singing the anthem today.
The national anthem is to be sung by Aya Shipman.
And a beautiful rendition of our nation's national anthem, and that only means that we are getting closer to kickoff here in Salem, Virginia.
Aya Shipman, everybody, 8-year-old beauty contestant. Great job by the youngster.
I would hate, at 8 years old, I don't know if I would have talked in front of anybody and let alone perform like that.
I got to tell you, she's got the crown on and everything. Watch out. She's one of our up-and-comers in the Virginia area. As the captains get ready now to come out onto the field for the coin toss. And for the fire department, for the police department of New York, we got big number 99. Number 1. I'm sorry, for Roanoke, we got big number 99. And that's Brian Epperly, his final game of his career. At 40 years old, he's hanging up the cleats, wants to go out on top. We also have Todd Farris, number 11. Todd at 50 years old, Brian, Jim, if you can believe that, has been part of this team for 13 seasons. We'll see him starting at defensive end today, along with number 82, Cedric Hayes. Number 4, Nick Spradlin out of Corrections. Nick is certainly a player to watch offensively. I'm sorry, defensively at the D-back position. And DeAndre Brown, wide receiver, VA Department of Corrections, also out there as well.
Captains meeting at midfield as we'll have the coin toss. Roanoke in their all-white, red numerals, white pants. And they'll be in their white helmets with the traditional Roanoke emblem. They'll be on the near side here. And John, you can see the canopies up. You can see a lot of water jugs down there filled with ice. They are well prepared for these conditions.
Well, absolutely. Hey, I got to give a shout out to that. See that youngster, the shortest kid out there in red? Let's give it up for Chris. Chris has the challenge of living a wonderful life with Down syndrome, and he is going to be doing the honors of the coin toss today. Beth and Alan Woodrum are the proud parents of 3 boys. The youngest of Chris is Chris with Down syndrome. Chris has his 2 older brothers that taught him he could accomplish anything and set goals and never give up. And, hey, man, great job by Chris. And I know Chris works, too, in the area. He loves life. He brings a smile to anyone who meets him. They developed, Chris's parents, along with Chris's input, developed Chris's Coffee and Custard as a way to help bridge the gap between the community and the people with intellectual, developmental, and physical disabilities who are integrating themselves in the workplace every day. Chris, great job, my man. I love seeing that. And Chris's Coffee and Custard, go check it out, everybody. Look at him, number 72. Great job by Chris. Love seeing him out there. And look at that guy.
Roanoke going to win.
Put on the pads, Chris. We need you.
Had a chance to talk to him last time I was down. A great young man there. And Roanoke won the coin toss, deferred until the second half.
Ooh.
So the finest will receive to get this one started. Roanoke wanting to go defense first.
I think there's been thousands wagered on that coin toss, Jim. So tell me again, Roanoke's deferred, so they will kick to PD.
And we talked about that secondary and the experience they've had together, the veteran group there, and maybe they want to test that out as they'll see if they can get some pressure on Quinlan for the finest, and that's going to be important because that offensive line for the finest played so well against FDNY.
Absolutely, and number 45 kicker for Roanoke will also be doing the punting duties today. Trey Baker from the Virginia Department of Corrections. You don't see that all the time, but I only mention that as special teams, of course, Jim, going to be huge today for both teams.
Certainly close games like this could come down to that, and at this level, it's really hard to find good kickers, and both teams really are blessed with in that position as we get ready for the kickoff here from Willis White Field in Salem, Virginia.
McGrain and Johnson set to receive 2 explosive guys, Jimmy. McGrain under the radar 3 weeks ago against the fire department. He is my X factor today for the police department. Here we go, national championship on the line. It's a squibber.
Short kick, going to fall out of the 40-yard line, be picked up, and it's going to be brought down at the 40. And fortunately for the NYPD's finest, Jerry Brown on top of that. New York will have the ball 1st and 10 at their own 40-yard line.
What's the mindset there, Jim? I mean, look, it almost worked out to the Rampage's favor. Jerry Brown, I should say, said, hey, look what I found. The flip side to that is PD's got excellent field position to start this first possession.
And certainly Roanoke going to take all the chances they can. They know what they're up against. And trying to get that extra possession there after deferring to the second half. Maybe should have seen that coming. I'm not sure.
A little squib kick.
So
shocking everybody.
1st and 10 for New York. Ball 41-yard line. They're going to go single receiver to each side, 2 tight ends and 1 tailback. Quinlan now under center. Just about 95 degrees. When you're not on the field, about 110 there. As they'll take this first handoff off the left side down to the 41-yard line. Brought down. It'll be 2nd down for NYPD's finest, and I believe that's going to be Donovan Brown on the tackle.
Yeah, out of the Virginia Department of Corrections, and Donovan Brown, number 34, setting the tone early defensively, punching NYPD in the mouth to set the tone. No gain on the play.
So 2nd and 9. They'll actually give him credit for a yard
right, we'll
gain.
give him a yard.
So 14:44 if you're just joining us here from Salem, Virginia. The Division I NPSFL Championship, as they'll go 4 wide receivers now. Quinlan will go in his shotgun, 1 running back to his right. He'll send a man in motion from left to right. Quinlan rolling out to the far side, going to fire into the flat. That's going to be dropped right around the 47-yard line, and maybe tried to run too quick. Was Chris McGrain on the catch.
Well, we talked about Grain just moments ago as being an X factor today, at least for me, is that's certainly a catchable football. Quinlan's first attempt of the day. You know, you want to get that first one out of the way, Jim. And PD's looked, frankly, a little shaky here in the opening moments of the first quarter. Coming to you live from Salem, Virginia, the National Public Safety League National Championship.
Quinlan now in the shotgun. Again, 1 running back to his left. He'll go wing left this time. Twin receiver to the far side. Quinlan, 3-step drop. Looks out to his left, fires, and is going to overshoot his receiver. Pass was intended for William Woodley, but couldn't connect on it. 4th down for Roanoke, and the deferral on the coin toss actually works out for the Rampage.
Absolutely. You know, if you're Will Woodley, you couldn't have run a better route right there than number 2 Woodley did. And perhaps Quinlan a little hyped up, the adrenaline going to this first quarter, overthrew him there. But a good sign from Woodley. He ran a beautiful route, was wide open.
So Roanoke to return. Mike Sheridan to set up right around his own 26-yard line. High snap over the punter's head. He's going to have to run this one down. He's going to try a rugby kick. He'll get this off, but it's not going to go very far. Midfield and into Roanoke territory. It'll roll down to the 43-yard line, and a big break for Roanoke. That's 2, and they're going to have to take advantage of that. So far, Roanoke good on the calls and good pressure coming up from NYPD. Now a benefactor of a bad snap.
I got to give the punter for PD, though, credit for keeping his cool and able to get that thing off. That could have been much worse for the police department of New York City. And Sheridan, the son of Irish immigrants in the Bronx, New York, is able to get that kick off. Standout at St. Michael in the Bronx. The go-to punter for the police department was
I think I would have just covered that up. I don't know if I would have done that.
A little Garo Yepremian there from the. I'm aging myself on that example, but good field position for the Rampage.
Roanoke now 1st and 10 at their own 44-yard line. They'll go pistol formation, twin receivers. We'll get a whistle, and we're going to have a flag, and I believe we're going to have a delay of game coming up against Roanoke. So after all the good things that have gone their way, they're going to start 1st and 15.
You know, we talk about penalties. We talk about heat. And, Jim, I got to tell you, I really think the second half of this game is what's going to separate the men from the boys. It's going to take a little time to get things going, as we've seen, an early penalty here. But the heat will be a factor. You mentioned the tents laid out. Either way, it's Roanoke football. They're backed up 5 yards.
Pistol formation will send a man in motion left to right, hand it straight off to the right side. Try to break it to the outside. 1 man to beat there, and he's going to be brought down on the Roanoke sideline. Daniels on the tackle, and it's going to be Persinger on the carry for Roanoke.
And I think that was number 7 and number 10 in on the play. Manny Tejada, by the way, is a guy that is given a lot of freedom by the defensive coordinator for the finest in New York City, Billy Sullivan. He really is the straw that stirs the drink defensively for the police department. Tejada is a beast. He is fast, and he hits hard. That's number 10, the linebacker for New York City.
Lewis Bell now the receiver to the far side. They're going to send Edmonds in motion. They'll hand this off to the left side, try to get to the outside and past the 50-yard line. They'll make it just out to about the midfield stripe. Another carry for Persinger, and again, chased down by Rodney Smith.
Right side, left side, Rampage mixing it up, but not many yards there for the Rampage as they hadn't fooled the PD defense going left. It'll bring up third down. Is that where we are?
Yeah, we'll go 3rd and 5.
Okay.
Roanoke working out of the 5-yard delay game penalty on the first play. So it'll go back to a 4 wide receiver set now. Shotgun formation, quarterback to the right.
Twins left, twins right.
A 3-step drop, fires over the middle, and is going to overshoot his intended receiver. That's going to be Edmonds. Looked like he didn't get his feet set. And Shemaiah Adams maybe having the same issue as Quinlan. Maybe got to settle down a little bit, get those feet set.
Well, you know, the pregame got away from us, Jim. Let's talk a little bit about Shemaiah Adams. That wasn't his fault there. We'll spotlight Shemaiah a little bit more when the ball's back in his hands. But Shemaiah Adams at 230 pounds is more like a linebacker. As a matter of fact, he did play at the linebacker position at one point in his career. And by default, after the big injury this season of the starter for Roanoke, who's out today, Jaden Williams, it will be Shemaiah with the football under center today for Roanoke.
Good snap. They'll get this one away. Send it towards the sideline. It'll head out on the NYPD side. No return for the finest. They'll take over 1st and 10 with just about 12:29 left here. First quarter, no score. As we get underway here in this very steamy hot day in Virginia.
Hey, man, how about that Trey Baker? Perfect punt. Went right out of bounds. Great job by big number 45. I don't know. I got a couple Madden team candidates with both these punters. Baker, number 45, got a little punch going there. Same with Sheridan. I think those two could be brothers. Sheridan's going to beat me up. We live in the same town in the Bronx. But Sheridan and I also seem to share the same barber. Oh, I forgot, Mike. You're follically challenged. But I'm going to watch myself down there at Katona Avenue in Woodlawn in the Bronx.
Green
Mike, great job.
And off up the middle. Pick up a yard or two maybe on the play. Not much more than that. And New York testing that middle, and Roanoke answering the call.
So that's what we call a little smash mouth football. PD out of New York City trying to establish that run. And I don't know. I don't know if we can blame the heat, but I do think that this battle of wills here in the first couple of series hasn't produced a whole lot, which leads me to believe that whoever controls that line of scrimmage today, Jim, is going to come out victorious. That turnovers and penalties certainly will all come into play.
Quinlan, 3-step drop, looking out to his left, under pressure, rolling out to the far side now. Let's go into the flat. It's going to be complete, but again, maybe of a yard or two on the play, not much more than that. And that pass was completed to Chris McGrain again. So again, some pressure on Quinlan, and that's something that Roanoke's going to have to do.
You know, Quinlan finding McGrain there, and that may not have looked much to our viewers or to the fans here today at Willis White Field, but just for Quinlan to get that one out of the way to McGrain, I think is important. McGrain, Quinlan admitted to me, look, I miss McGrain quite a bit in that Fun City Bowl, but looking to get McGrain a little bit more involved today here in Virginia.
Quinlan in the shotgun, 3 receivers to the near side. He'll roll out to the near side, take it himself, tuck the ball. He'll get out to the 35, work his way to the 40, and drop his shoulder to the 41 where he head out of bounds. That'll be a first down for the Finest, their first of the day.
Clive Harding, also the head coach, also the offensive coordinator. That is a design play for big number 8 behind center for the police department of New York City. And it produces a first down, and a very important one at that. Quinlan showing his mobility there, which bodes well for the Finest of New York.
Quinlan with an outstanding game just a couple weeks ago in the Fun City Bowl. Led his team to a win over FDNY as they'll go twin receivers to the far side. That'll be Johnson and McGrain, single receiver to our side. Quinlan in the shotgun, one running back to his right. He'll roll out to the far side, looking down, throws into flat. It's going to be complete to the tight end. That's going to be Obanine on the reception.
Obi-Wan Kenobi in the mix. Certainly a candidate for MVP in the Fun City Bowl with 2 touchdowns. Gets in on the pass party with his first reception here in the first quarter. You talk about a focused kid. He's Special Services, New York City, Suffolk County, Long Island, a major player in one of the most elite SWAT teams in the country. And Obi is now part of the receiving statistics today. 2 touchdowns in the Fun City Bowl.
Nice in motion left to right. Quinlan will take himself up the middle. Past the 50, found some room to run. He'll get past the 45 and down to the 42-yard line. That'll be another first down for New York, and they are on the drive.
And like chopping wood, you got to give the O-line credit for the police department. They are slowly starting to move, and the push is becoming more and more effective on this drive. And Quinlan looked kind of methodical on that, but look at the yards he picked up. Not only that, it's another first down for the finest.
A lot of patience by Quinlan, as it'll be Donato and Porcelli, the outside receivers now. Twin receivers to the near side, twin to the far side. Quinlan waiting for the signal. He'll take a moment. 9:19 left here, first quarter. Quinlan again trying to get upfield. Avoids one tackle, and he'll be brought down at the 42-yard line. They may give him the 41. So pick up a couple of yards, and you can see they're already trying to stay on the ground there, making Quinlan a big part of the game.
Fool me once, you're not going to fool me twice, says the Rampage. And if you look at that defense, 4-3-2, clogging up the middle there, didn't give Quinlan much to work with.
John Cardwell going to check out for Roanoke. You see Roanoke going into that rotation, trying to save those big guys up for later in the game.
You know, Brad Harris, no stranger as the head coach for the Rampage. He took a little bit of a hiatus back at the head coaching position. Works so hard at getting these guys going. And I wanted to make sure I gave Brad his due. He has been a dedicated servant to this team for many years, the 4th now as the head coach.
Quinlan with a pass out to the far side. He'll get that down to the 36-yard line. Bring up 3rd and 3 for the finest. 8:23 here on a running clock. Quinlan will bring the play in from the sideline. New York mixing up the pass and the run here early in the game. New York coming in at 4-0. They spent most of the time in the New York area, but headed out to L.A. to take on the Centurions, where they got the shutout, 44-0 over LAPD. So twin receivers to each side. Again, Woodley to the left. As they will again send McGrain in motion.
Yep.
3-step drop again. Quinlan looking down, fires down the middle, has a man open to the end zone. It's going to be overthrown, intended for Kyle Johnson. And I think Quinlan knew that maybe put just a little bit too much on that.
The first big pass play of the day, unfortunately for PD fans, just out of the outstretched hands of Kyle Johnson, the MVP of the Fun City Bowl 3 weeks ago, looking to add to his touchdown collection. I asked him what his favorite moment from that game was, and he said to be able to play in front of the late Tim Diller's mom and dad and his widow and his child Timothy, of course, killed in the line of duty in Queens, New York, just over a month ago.
Quinlan with a design run to the far side. Going to jump a couple of defenders, make it past the 30 down to the 26-yard line. That's another first down for NYPD's finest with 7:14 left here in the first quarter.
And Quinlan a little shaken up as he might be coming out of the game. And he is. So Quinlan is going to take a break, and it's been all Quinlan so far. He'll be replaced at center, under center by number 15. Is that?
I believe it's going to be Anthony O'Connell. He'll be in a shotgun with Woodley to his right, twin receivers to each side.
It is O'Connell. That's bad news for the police department. Our first big shakeup here today at Willis White Field.
Kind of a bobbled snap. He'll give it to Woodley. Woodley passes 20 inside to 15, 10, 5, touchdown. NYPD strikes first, 6:33 of the first quarter. The finest take a 6-0 lead.
And Woodley dancing, prancing, walking the wire into the end zone. And despite Quinlan going down, a seamless exchange under center does not affect PD at all. And Woodley gets the finest on the board first. Wow.
After a botched punt on their first possession, Finest put together a drive, and they put up 6 points. They take the 6-0 lead here, pending the extra point. It'll be Kevin Lindley for the conversion. Snap is back, kick is up, and it is good. So with 6:33 left here in the first quarter, the Finest take a 7-0 lead. We're going to step aside for a quick timeout. You are listening to the NPSFL Division I National Championship here on Western Reserve Radio, a part of the iMedia One Network. We're right back after this. The Mahoning Valley's leader for golf, Milk Creek Golf Course, is now booking tee times for 2024. We offer stay and play opportunities available with 9 area hotel partners. For more information, visit our website at millcreekmetroparks.org. Also, look for new, exciting opportunities coming soon, including an indoor player development center with Trackman, an indoor Callaway Club Fitting Center, and an Odyssey Fitting Studio in 2024. Follow us on Facebook at Milk Creek Golf Course or call 330-740-7112. 6:33 left here, first quarter. The Finest with a 7-0 lead over the Roanoke Rampage. And after that first series, didn't start so fluidly. The Finest put it together, and they get in the end zone in a combination of pass and run.
Hey, how about that new long snapper for the PD? Sean Obenheim on that extra point. I think that was Shawnee. Unfortunately, the Finest, their long snapper, not able to play today due to an injury. And Obenheim working double duty at both tight end. Obenheim, the Cortland State product out of Lynbrook High School.
And I believe they won the Division III national title this year, as a matter of fact.
And speaking of which, this is the Willis White Field, the home of the Alonzo Stag Bowl for many years. Is that right?
Yes, and we see quite often Mount Union University right up there by Youngstown. So they make the trip down here, and a beautiful facility here, and the scenery is absolutely second to none.
Gorgeous. What mountains would those be in the background?
That's an excellent question. As this kick's going to go over the returner's head, and it's going to almost die out at the 1 yard line, but it'll go into the end zone. Touchback for Roanoke.
Ooh.
And it'll be 1st and 10 for the Rampages. They'll take the touchback, and maybe a little embellishment there, but nonetheless having some fun on the field. And again, we see a lot of the rotation of these guys, and your coach is really having to focus on that.
Absolutely. Hey, speaking of coaches, I want to give a shout out to some of the personnel here today for the NYPD. Of course, George Burke, the president, John Masante, the VP, Patrick Fitzsimmons, the treasurer, Mike Senna, the GM, Mike Miller, secretary, Pete Rogers, spirits coordinator, Rich Pierre, director of ops, Dr. Dave, the team doctor, Joe Keenan, Bradley Cohen, Mark Teitler, and Shantez Williams, the manager. Those guys have worked their tails off to get this thing going here today.
It takes a lot to put this together as Adams now in a shotgun to send a man in motion from right to left. Set his feet, looking him, makes him, going to be hemmed up in the backfield, and that's going to be a sack for the NYPD's Finest. And that's going to be Anthony Lombardi, the defensive lineman, bringing down the quarterback in the backfield.
Lombardi, second to get there. Excellent pressure by PD, like a pack of dogs. They didn't give up. And Shemaiah tried to break free. Speaking of which, I think Shemaiah, you talk about a big-bodied quarterback, not afraid to mix it up. Just like Quinlan was doing before Quinlan came out, Shemaiah's got to get going. Running the football and a little more involved offensively. I'd like to see that for Roanoke to try to come back here down 7.
2nd and 17 now for Roanoke. They'll go into a pistol formation. They'll send their man in motion, and we're going to have a whistle. Another flag, and another delay of game coming up against Roanoke as they're taking too much time in the huddle. So it'll be 2nd and 22 now for the Rampage. 5:33 left here, first quarter. Finest with a 7-0 lead. And I'm sure the coaching staff cannot be happy about those mental penalties.
We despite these 2 penalties that have hurt Roanoke here in the first quarter, overall a fairly disciplined game compared to some others I've seen this year, including that Fun City Bowl. I think there were 35 flags thrown in that game, quite literally.
Three receivers on the far side now. Ball now at the 17-yard line, 18. Adams back to pass under pressure, trying to create some time, and he's going to be brought
that's
down.
going to be a safety.
It'll be down at the 1-yard line. They're going to say he'll give him the forward progress, but Roanoke will have the ball at the 1-yard line. They're going to be backed up against their own goal line.
Jim, you called it right. It was close. I'm shocked they didn't give the 2 to the police department there, but a very difficult position for the Rampage to be in. Shamaya's going to be all the way towards the back of that end zone after the football is snapped. We'll see what happens.
4:55 left here, first quarter. Roanoke will have the ball third and, well, we'll call it a cup of coffee, as Jesse Caldwell will call it. And we're going to have a timeout by Roanoke. 4:55 left here, first quarter. We're going to step aside for a quick timeout. You are listening to the NPSFL National Championship here on Western Reserve Radio, part of the iMedia One Network. We're back right after this. The Mahoning Valley's leader for golf, Milk Creek Golf Course, is now booking tee times for 2024. We offer stay and play opportunities available with 9 area hotel partners. For more information, visit our website at millcreekmetroparks.org. Also, look for new, exciting opportunities coming soon, including an indoor player development center with Trackman, an indoor Callaway club fitting center, and an Odyssey fitting studio in 2024. Follow us on Facebook at Milk Creek Golf Course or call 330-740-7112.
Youngstown, Warren, and Salem's local and national sports talk can be found on TuneIn and the Live 365 app at Western Reserve Radio. WRDB, The Scourge.
Quarterback sneak up front by Adams, and he's going to push it, trying to get a few yards. And actually may have picked up 2 or 3 on the play. That'll give him a little bit of breathing room and actually a little bit more room to punt.
And a flag down on the field. And, listen, these boys are playing to the whistle. And some yards created and some space created. I wonder what the call is here, though, Jim.
So they're going to say the initial encroachment against New York, and that'll give them a little bit more room to punt.
That's a huge call right there.
So ball marked right now at the 6-yard line. We'll see if that's where they're going to spot it on the run. No, actually, they'll say that's where they're going to spot it for third down play over again. So 4:40 left here, first quarter. NYPD with a 7-0 lead over Roanoke, coming by way of a 27-yard run by Woodley. That coming at 6:33 of the first quarter.
Brings up a third down for the Rampage.
I would try to calculate, but they would have to get to the 35-yard line for a first down. Let's do that. Keep it simple. So Adams in the shotgun, one running back to his left, single receiver to the near side. One-on-one coverage. As they'll send a slot out, they'll hand it off out to the right side, trying to find some room to run. He'll turn the corner, get out to the 10-yard line, 15, and knocked out of bounds. Upended Persinger. Went feet over elbows, and I don't think he was appreciative of that low hit.
Well, he stepped out, and of course, Danny Roll didn't see that. Danny Roll's finishing his play in spectacular fashion. Danny sends the Rampage runner flying, which will finally bring up 4th down, and the Rampage will punt it away. McGrain and Johnson once again set to receive at the 45 and 41-yard line, respectively, of Roanoke. So this is a dangerous spot for the Rampage.
Baker getting the wide snap. He'll get this one off. It'll be an odd kick. It'll take a Roanoke bounce past the 40 and out at the 42-yard line. They'll mark it officially at the 41, and that's where NYPD will take over. 1st and 10, 3:29 left here, first quarter. New York with a 7-0 lead over the Rampage.
And, Jim, I don't really believe that 7-0 score is indicative of the way the finest of New York City have begun to start to assert their dominance, at least in the last 5 minutes of this ball game. They seem to be taking it to another gear. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, certainly. Look, they started a little shaky, but NYPD seems to have figured it out here as they stick to the script. Is Quinlan now in a shotgun.
And
Receivers
Quinlan's
2 by 2.
back.
Quinlan, 3-step drop, stepping up in the pocket. Going to take it outside to the 40, 35, 30, inside the 30 and out at the 29-yard line. That'll be a first down for the Finest.
You know, what strikes me here is Quinlan, the leading rusher in this first quarter for the New York City Police Department, hasn't even begun to scratch the surface of the resources he has, not only in his receiving core, but with his backs as well. And Quinlan, if it's working, is saying, if it ain't broke, I'm not going to try and fix it. Quinlan again with the first down for New York City.
Donato and Obenheim will be the receivers to the far side, twin receivers to the near side. Quinlan in his shotgun. First and 10, quick pass out to the far side. It'll be picked up at the 30, 25, and it's going to be Obenheim down to the 20, 15, 10, 5, and he's going to fight his way into the end zone for a 30-yard touchdown. The Finest take a 13-0 lead with 2:46 left here in the first quarter.
Obenheim says, may the force be with you. New York City's Finest with their second touchdown of the game. Obenheim bouncing and ping-ponging off the Roanoke defenders has now officially made this a two-possession game for Roanoke, and PD could not be more happy with the start to this ball game, and there's still 2:46 left to go as the Finest set up for the extra point.
Roanoke not able to take advantage of some of those breaks earlier as this kick will be up and good. 2:46 left here in this first quarter. The Finest take a 14-0 lead over the Roanoke Rampage. We'll step aside for a quick timeout. You're listening to the NPSFL Division I National Championship here on Western Reserve Radio, a part of the iMedia One Network.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
Youngstown, Warren, and Salem's local and national sports talk can be found on TuneIn and the Live 365 app at Western Reserve Radio. WRDB, The Scourge.
2:46 left here, first quarter. Finest take a 14-0 lead over the Roanoke Rampage by way of a 30-yard touchdown pass from Quinlan to Oberheim. I'm going to get it right.
Obenheim.
There we
Obenheim.
go. All right. Sooner or later, we got 3 more quarters to go. I should get it right by now.
So one reception, and it was really that run after catch by Obenheim, Obi, as they like to call him. That really was the difference.
A return by Roanoke out to the 30, 35, and fighting his way down to the 39-yard line. That's going to be Sam Edmonds, a receiver, on the return for Roanoke, and the Rampage will start with decent field position.
A little waggle there on the sidelines, and you said it, Jim. Roanoke, with 2:39 remaining in this first quarter, has an opportunity here to answer back and say, hey, look, we're a part of this thing too. This is, I would say, one of the bigger series of this first quarter for Roanoke, really to see how they respond to yet another touchdown, one through the air, one on the ground for the police department. Let's see what Roanoke's made of.
Lewis Bell, the receiver to the far side, Brown to the near side. Adams now in the wishbone formation. He'll send Brown in motion. They'll give it off to Persinger. Persinger cutting back to the inside past the 40, 45, and down near the 46-yard line. That'll bring up 2nd and 3 for the Rampage, and a good first down play for Roanoke.
They call him Zay out of the Virginia Department of Corrections, Isaiah Persinger, who has played the number 2 back role to MJ, the heart and soul of this ball team for Roanoke. Of course, I'm talking about Michael Johnson out of the Lynchburg Police Department, who's been banged up all season long, last played on May 18th. And Zay showing what he can do there, getting the touch and some decent yards as well. If you could get Zay going, this could be a drive to watch for the Rampage.
Rampage now with a tight end to the right side. It'll be Cedric Hayes. They'll send twin receivers to the far side. Adams in a pistol. Actually, ball's going to be dropped. He was under center, and it looks like Roanoke's going to cover it up, but it's going to bring up third and 4 now for Roanoke.
A big third down here for the Rampage and a little change in personnel. It's almost like a hockey team changing lines on the fly. 120 degrees down there on the field, and a lot of personnel wisely being used by head coach Clive Harding for New York City's finest. And he's got that luxury with quite a big roster for the police department. Some fresh troops out of the ground of this big third down for the Rampage.
Yeah, the only two things you got to be concerned with: sweaty hands and a lot of water that they're drinking. It'll maybe make that ball a little slippery on the exchange, as Adams now will go back into wishbone. Have a wing to the right, single receiver to each side. Brown will be the receiver to the near side. They'll send a man in motion, handoff on the counter, bring it to the near side, cut back in past the 45, down to the 47-yard line. Got a flag on the play, and that's in the area of holding. And that'll come from our head linesman. Our referee will take a ride over there as we have a player down on the field.
Well, we got two down on the field, Jim, and that was a collision you could hear all the way up here. And those high hits like that, man, oh man, both of those guys, I think it was number 30 for the police department, Big E, the linebacker out of Cortland State and Xavier High School, Ima Ifinianchaku, they call him E. He's down for the police department of New York City. And both of those guys have not done a whole lot of moving down there. Let's keep our fingers crossed. And one of them's up, Jimmy, and that's number 8. Zay, he's going to shake it, walk it off. The running back for the Rampage, and following suit, number 30 for the finest, E, the linebacker. And he seems to be a little bit more shaken up than Zay is, not very steady on his feet. And that, you got to immediately think of a concussion-type situation there for the linebacker out of New York City.
And you add in the factor of dehydration, and had a penalty coming up here. Didn't catch the signal, but it's going to be against Roanoke. They'll move the ball back to the 41-yard line. So that'll give them 3rd and 9.
And I don't want to harp too much on this injury, but that's going to be a big loss for the finest. And you look at body language when a player walks off the field, and the body language, the slumped shoulders, and the head kind of hanging low for number 30, Big E. I don't think we're going to see him back here in this first half, let alone the rest of the game. But no use in speculating, noting how tough that kid is. You never know. Let's get back to the play.
Cedric Hayes back at tight end on the left side. They'll hand it off the left side, down to the 45, 46, and 47-yard line, fighting his way down. It'll bring up a 4th down. New running back for Roanoke. That's going to be Michael Johnson.
MJ doing what he does best, north, south. He is an absolute bull. Nearly comes up with a first down. If I'm Roanoke, you got to go for it here.
35 seconds left here in this first frame, and I'm thinking they might have heard you up here. They might be taking a shot at this as they go into a huddle.
Rampage. Let's go, boys. I want to see a big response to that New York City touchdown. And MJ, that bodes well. He's been nursing that bad knee all season long. And he's in the backfield once again for the Rampage.
Adams waiting for the snap. Quick handoff to the right side. He's going to be hemmed up in the backfield. They won't get it. It'll be a turnover on downs with just 6 seconds left here in the first quarter. And I'm going to say probably Kendall Clark on the tackle for NYPD. And a big
Probably
stand.
half the team, Jimmy. I mean, you talk about a gang tackle. My goodness gracious. Reading that beautifully. I mean, hats off to the entire D-line. Johnson runs into an absolute blue wall. And it's going to be first down for the finest. And so much for my analysis of going for it on 4th down, because right back in the faces of the Rampage is the offense and the arm of Davian Quinlan here in quarter number 1 with 6 seconds to go.
1st and 10 from the 46-yard line. Finest on the Roanoke side of the field. 3-step drop. That'll be new quarterback there. Firing downfield. Going to be caught at the 5 and into the end zone. Touchdown for NYPD's finest. And
Anthony O'Connell in on the mix, Jimmy. Can you believe it? A perfect spiral from the backup. My goodness. First down, O'Connell with the laser. And the NYPD take a 20-0 lead. Wow.
So Quinlan taking a breath, and O'Connell coming in a beautiful
I thought it was
pass.
Quinlan too. I mean, I don't know. My hat's off to Clive Harding. He is really mixing it up. And O'Connell is just Mr. Cool. He's like a lounge singer. Tony Bennett out there.
Snap is back, some movement up front. And
I mean, I'm sorry. I can't. Calm, cool, and collected is not the word.
so instead of an encroachment, it's going to be a false start against the finest on the conversion. They're up.
Anthony O'Connell. Wow. I want to give a shout out to Joe Lockard, who created this NYPD team as they set up for an extra point. 82 years young, out in New Jersey, watching at home with his family.
Ball blocked. We're going to have a flag again, and I believe they're going to have Roanoke for an encroachment. I think Edmonds maybe tried to time that up, but indeed, that is going to be encroachment against Roanoke. So we'll go back to the original conversion spot.
I mentioned Joe Lochran, Dom Lorendi as well, another Hall of Famer for the New York City Police Department. Joe starting this team with Pudgy Walsh about 51 years ago at the Mariners Inn in Brooklyn, New York. Has to be happy with what he's seeing up there in New Jersey.
And a great story, too. Just about two guys in a bar having a conversation, and here we are 50-plus years later.
I don't mean to take the foot off the gas here, Jim, but
kick is up, and this one is no good. So at 15 minutes, or excuse me, as we go to the second quarter, NYPD's finest will take a 20-0 lead into the second frame. We'll step aside for a quick timeout. You are listening to the NPSFL Division I National Championship here on Western Reserve Radio, part of the iMedia One network. The Mahoning Valley's leader for golf, Milk Creek Golf Course, is now booking tee times for 2024. We offer stay and play opportunities available with 9 area hotel partners. For more information, visit our website at millcreekmetroparks.org. Also, look for new, exciting opportunities coming soon, including an indoor player development center with Trackman, an indoor Callaway Club Fitting Center, and an Odyssey Fitting Studio in 2024. Follow us on Facebook at Milk Creek Golf Course or call 330-740-7112. Second quarter action coming up here as NYPD Fine is taking a 20-0 lead into the second quarter. And being told now that that's going to be Kyle Johnson on the touchdown for NYPD. Thank you for that information. We appreciate it.
so Kyle Woodley, Johnson, and Obenheim shows you how many tools this police department of New York City has in which to choose. Call it the Swiss Army knife today for the finest. Everybody in on the party.
So Roanoke with the return. They'll bring the ball back just inside the 35-yard line, maybe give them the 34. And Roanoke trying to put something together, get some points up here as they try to pick up some momentum. New York has been pretty insufferable there coming after that first drive.
How about Marquise Ortiz, the Buffalo State product, on the coverage there for the finest. Great job by Marquise Ortiz. Marquise was just kind of ragdolling out there, saying, where are you going, big boy? I got you right here.
So 14:49 left here in this second quarter. Roanoke with the ball to start this second frame. Hopefully put something together here. Again, down a quarterback.
Jimmy, we got to see the Rampage do something here. We want a ball game, and we got a great one. But Roanoke, with the year that they've had under Brad Harris, exceeding so many expectations, will certainly do their best to make some adjustments here as we start the second quarter.
New quarterback in for Roanoke. He'll take the ball in the Wildcat, bring that out to the 42-yard line. That's going to be Matthew Lewis Bell stepping in for Adams. maybe try a little something different here, try to open up the field.
Well, you mentioned the Wildcat. Matt Lewis Bell out of the Virginia Department of Corrections, such a talented athlete. He can play quarterback. He can play wide receiver. He can run the football. He'll set up in the slot. He can do it all. But we mentioned Brad Harris switching it up. And, this is for all the marbles, folks. No time to waste. And Brad Harris will be the first to tell you, hey, we'll throw a lot at you offensively. And Brad calling a timeout here to talk things over with the boys and try to get them going.
Yeah, certainly they're just going to have to go with what they're being given right now, maybe try to find those short passes. Adams having a problem getting downfield there to secondary, taking away his options there, so not a whole lot going on for Shemaiah Adams there at quarterback, stepping in for the Roanoke Rampage this week. And you couldn't find a tougher opponent for him than the NYPD's finest.
I know. This really has been NYPD's year. After a tough first half against the fire department 3 weeks ago, it was all finest in the second half. FD leading in that game. Obi, the tight end for the finest with 2 touchdowns in that Fun City Bowl championship game. Kyle Johnson with a pair of touchdowns as well. And both of those guys with touchdowns here today. But let's see what the new quarterback can do for Roanoke.
2nd and 8 now, 3 receivers to the near side. Lewis Bell still at quarterback. Stepping up in the pocket to be under pressure is going to be brought down by a host of NYPD's finest.
And you talk about a load. Number 69 for the fire department. Mark Scurry, defensive lineman out of John Glenn High School. I mean, he is heavy. He's low to the ground. Man, I would not want to tangle with that cowboy.
Also, Kendall Clark in on the tackle there. And I'd hate to tell him no if he says something.
Man,
maybe you should do it.
I mean, that's frightening. He's a load. It's hard to move that guy as well.
Lewis Bell in an empty backfield, 3-step drop. Looking downfield, fires over the middle. Kind of a loopy pass, and it's going to be caught at the 40, 30, 20, 10, 5. Touchdown, Roanoke gets on the scoreboard, 13:30 off of the first quarter. It is 20-6 in favor of the finest, but Roanoke now finally with some momentum.
And there it is, the first big play of the day for the Rampage. And the change at quarterback by Brad Harris proves to be a stroke of genius. And I gotta say, number 15, Marquise Ortiz for the police department of New York City, he went for broke. He went for that interception. He was burned, and he made a gorgeous play earlier in this football game, but he paid the price there as Roanoke gets back on the board, and folks, we got a ball game.
Baker in for the extra point. Snap is back, kick is up, and no good. So with 13:30 left here, second quarter, the Roanoke Rampage, they get on the board by way of a 65-yard touchdown pass from Lewis Bell to Brown. NYPD now with the 20-6 lead. We'll step aside for a quick timeout. You are listening to the Division I National Championship here on Western Reserve Radio, a part of the iMedia One network. Catch all of the spring and summer action of Cleveland Cobras minor league football on Western Reserve Radio. Follow the Cobras as they compete against teams from around the region in pursuit of a Tri-Point Football League championship. And if you're looking to continue your football career after high school, college, or even the pros, or to be part of the Cobras staff, go to Facebook at Cleveland Cobras Football, or contact owner Jesse Caldwell at 330-416-3442. Be a part of the excitement of Cleveland Cobras football. 13:30 left here, second quarter. The Rampage, they get on the board by way of a 65-yard touchdown pass from Lewis Bell to Brown. And not the greatest pass in the world, kind of went up there, but Brown went up and attacked it, took it the rest of the way.
I mean, we're barely 2 minutes into the second quarter. We got 26 points on the board already in this 100-degree heat here in Salem, Virginia. Who would have thunk it? And again, I got to give a lot of credit to Brad Harris making that QB switch. We've seen PD do it from New York City a couple of times today with success. Harris says, I'm going to try to do a little bit about that myself, and Matthew Lewis Bell just, you got to give that kid a lot of credit, because I'll tell you what, not easy to do to come into a ball game, Wildcat or not, at the quarterback position. And he threw an absolute gem into a crowded area of the secondary.
Short kick by Roanoke to the 35, out to the 40. They're going to bring it back to the near side.
One man to beat.
Going to make it into midfield and got to cut back. Back to the inside with some blockers to the 45, 35, 30. And down at the 29-yard line. They may give him the 19 officially. A great return by NYPD. They answer after the Roanoke touchdown.
I got to tell you what, though, hats off to number 40 from the Rampage, who did not give up on that play at all to make the tackle after the returner for the police department of New York City had some open field, chased down.
That young man's going to need some water. It's hot out there.
And a good example of just not giving up on that play and the elusiveness on that return. One side of the field to the next, looking for a seam.
I believe we got a Roanoke player down. Might have been a cramp. Looked like he was on his belly there, trying to work that out in his calf. But we talked about the dehydration and the heat factor.
Yeah, and Jim, hopefully he'll be okay. He's being tended to. Jim, as a former player and a guy who's currently on the job, how deflating is that to come back with a big play and then have New York City's finest come down and now be in the red zone?
Yes,
just in the blink of an eye.
It takes an emotional toll. You have that high and you feel like you got something going. And then we talked about special teams earlier, and that right there certainly is indicative of how important these special teams are now. Field position now for NYPD is going to be much better than they anticipated.
Matthew St. Clair comes off the field for the Rampage out of the Virginia Department of Corrections. Getting a look at that kid through the binoculars. He looks like he's about 15. My gosh.
Yeah, his dad a former player here as well, Greg St. Clair.
I mean, and we've got 3 new players on Roanoke today out of the Salem Police Department who I believe are making their debut with the Rampage.
Quinlan with the handoff to Woodley. Woodley to the far side, past the 20, 15, 10, fights his way down near the 6-yard line.
Oh, did he touch the ground?
And they're saying no, he wasn't down, he went in. So that's going to be a 19-yard touchdown run by Woodley. That'll be his second of the day. That gives the NYPD a 26-6 lead.
That was like a pajama party when you're a kid bouncing on the beds. Woodley bounced right off the Roanoke defender. Knee never touched the ground, popped up like a pillow fight, and he's in the end zone. Unbelievable. 26-6. New York City's finest with the lead, and we've got breaking news out of Division II. NPSFL President Jeff Price, Johnny on the spot. Charlotte 35, San Bernardino 14. Charlotte Cobras are the champs. Wow. Charlotte, of course, beating this Roanoke team in the last game of the regular season, showing their worth.
And Charlotte, always a tough program down there. Another area we go to play where it's really hot a lot of times. So big win over San Bernardino there. And had the opportunity to play out there in 2019 in the Division II championship. So 13:03 left here, second quarter. NYPD with a 27-6 lead, over Roanoke. And Roanoke, I don't know, I'm thinking right now, a little desperation. You want to put some points up before that half. At least give you something, an opportunity to make some adjustments to stay in this game in the third quarter.
Well, if there was any doubt about the efficacy of this finest offense, answering back after the lone Rampage touchdown, you talk about quick strike capability. My goodness. This team from New York City, the finest, are firing on all cylinders, Jimmy Craven.
Yeah, Woodley thought he was down there, thought the knee went down. He fought through all the defenders and came out on the other end and into the end zone. So,
well, with 13:03 left in this second quarter, Woodley certainly one of the MVPs for New York City's finest here today in the NPSFL championship game.
Lindley to kick this off for the finest. He'll get into this one. It'll be picked up at the 11-yard line. Roanoke will bring it out to the 20, 30, 35, work towards the near sideline. That'll be Brown on the return for Roanoke. They'll start 1st and 10 right around their own 41-yard line. And again, Roanoke trying to make some adjustments here. I've already made a quarterback change. We don't know if that's because of injury or performance, but I see Adams coming back out on the field for the Rampage now.
Okay, so maybe that was just, a being gassed heat thing. But my question to you, Jim, is why do you think Shemaiah is back in the game? No disrespect to Adams, but the one guy that seemed to get him going, not under center right now, and we're talking about Matthew Lewis Bell.
Yeah, and certainly we talked about some players, or some coaches earlier, and they said Lewis Bell is good at everything. Unfortunately, he's one of their number one receivers as well. As Adams now in a pistol formation, twin receivers to the near side. 1st and 10 from the 40-yard line. Handoff, nowhere to go, brought down in the backfield. Rashawn Williams on the tackle for the Finest. That's going to be a loss of yardage for the Roanoke Rampage.
And you know what? I got to say, Jim, it's got to be an absolute exercise in exhaustion to not have the luxury of moving guys on and off the field, not taking anything away from New York City and how amazing they are as a football team, the Finest. But having the deep roster that they have, they're able to replenish, take guys on, take guys off, put guys on, take guys off. And this heat can't underscore the importance of how much it plays a part in our national championship today.
Adams in the shotgun, 3-step drop, stepping up, fires downfield. Was looking for Lewis Bell, but couldn't connect on it, and we're going to have some extracurricular down here at the line of scrimmage. Flags, Nick, coming out. These may be offsetting personal fouls coming up against each team as it starts to get a little hot and that score starts to get a little bit further apart. You might see a little more of this.
I want to talk about that coverage, though, from Danny Roll on that pass play. Great job by Danny covering a lot of ground out there in the secondary for the Finest. And like you said, let's just hope the referees, officials can set the tone here and say, look, we're not going to accept any of this chippy stuff. Because you're right, Jim, the longer this thing goes on, the more lopsided the score, the more opportunity there is for some ungentlemanly play, to put it nicely.
Yeah, some tempers are going to flare here. Offsetting personal fouls coming up against both teams. Those will cancel each other out, so they'll have the ball again. 3rd and 11. Ball at the Roanoke 39-yard line. Adams down an empty backfield. 2 receivers to each side. They'll go with a tight end as well. He's in there for Roanoke.
Look how close up those
flag
safeties
on the play.
are.
Adams working his way out to the far side. He get out to the 45 and get knocked out of bounds. See what the flag is. Didn't see any motion. This may be an illegal formation. May have had too many people in the backfield. I'm going to take a guess at that, but we'll see what they're going to say encroachment coming up against NYPD. That's the preliminary signal. So that'll be a free 5 for Roanoke. They may decline this one. It's going to be the same thing either way. So encroachment against New York, and actually they are going to accept that penalty. And it'll bring up 3rd down now at the 46-yard line. So they'll get the down over, lost a yard via the penalty, but nonetheless, they will get that down over as Lewis Bell makes his way back onto the field for Roanoke.
So Bell wearing the neon green cleats and gloves, looking like Spider-Man out there, or I don't know, Kryptonite, some kind of Marvel character.
Makes him easy to find, I'll tell you that.
It does. I love it. And he's been able to find the end zone, or certainly help in finding the end zone for the Rampage. Let's see what he can do. Set up far left at the receiver position.
Cedric Hayes a slot to the far side now. Adams stepping up into the pocket. Has time. Fires over the middle. Has an open man at the 37-yard line. And he'll bring it all the way down near the 25. And Roanoke with a 1st down. And I believe that's going to be Austin Rowland for the Rampage on a big play. And just need to see a little more consistency out of Roanoke on plays like that.
Out of the Lynchburg Police Department, Austin Rowland wide open, cutting through the middle. And credit Shemaiah Adams for having the composure back there. He looked at option 1, looked at option 2, and out of nowhere, streaking through the middle, it's Roland. And Adams, really, that's got to bode well for this Rampage team. Seemed very composed on that pass and finally got some time to throw the football.
Adams in a shotgun, one running back to his right, twin receivers each side. 3-step drop, going to roll out to the far side, has room to run, trying to direct traffic. He'll take it himself and get down to the 20-yard line. It'll be a pickup of 5. So 2nd and 5 now for Roanoke. And again, that's another case of Roanoke taking what New York is giving them.
Look at this guy, Adams, giving a new definition of the term field general. He's directing traffic. He's throwing it. He's running it. He's doing everything on this series. He says, Coach Harris, don't take me out again.
So they'll actually call this 2nd and 6. They'll say he went out at the 22-yard line. 9:51 left here, second quarter. NYPD with a 27-6 lead over Roanoke.
Adams, I got to tell you, met him before the game. He's got the biggest hands I've ever seen, bigger than Nick Foles' hands, the former Philadelphia Eagle quarterback. I mean, this guy has got a cannon of an arm, and we saw an example of that on that big completion in this series. Let's see what Adams does here.
Empty backfield, 2 high safeties for the finest. They'll send a man in motion. 3-step drop under pressure. Going to elude one tackle, but won't get away from another, and he'll be brought down at the 30-yard line. And that's going to be Kevin Ferguson on the tackle for the finest. And
also in on that, number 69, Mark Scurry, and number 96, Dontre Belk out of Uniondale, and just, I mean, you got hats off to the pressure there by the finest.
Yeah, tough way to go for Roanoke. They get 1 or 2 steps ahead, then it's 1 or 2 steps back. We're looking for those consistencies in their drives and maybe a few more big plays as they try to take it and maybe cut this lead in half.
JC, you said it. I mean, they've shown what they can do in spurts.
So Hayes now going to be the receiver to the far side. Adams in the shotgun. He'll have a wing to the right. 1 high safety now this time for NYPD. Adams going to take his time. You have to watch the play clock. They've had a few of those. He'll take the 3-step drop under pressure. Looking down in the corner for Lewis Bell, and it's going to be picked off at the 1-yard line by NYPD. And it's going to be 1st and 10 at the 1-yard line for the finest. That's going to be Daniel Royal with the interception.
We talked about Danny Roll's coverage in this second quarter, and I saw him kind of stepping up here, gaining some confidence, telegraphing that beautifully. Veteran leadership and an incredible athlete out of Seaford High School. Number 5, Danny Roll with the first pick of the game. And that's the first turnover as well.
Yeah, first turnover in the game here on a very hot day and kind of a high pass. As New York now will have the ball 1st and 10 at their own 1-yard line. So if you're Roanoke, do you take the chance and send that, forgive the pun, the jailbreak defense and maybe take the shot at it?
Well, 27-6, 8:16 to go until the half. And folks, coming up at halftime, we've got a special guest, the president of the NPSFL, on deck to walk us through the 2024 season and the future of the National Public Safety Football League.
Quinlan with the ball. He'll take that out to the 5-yard line. Give the finest a little bit of breathing room here. 8:08 left here, second quarter as we approach halftime. NYPD with a 27-6 lead over Roanoke.
And, you know, I got to give a shout-out to Billy Sullivan, the defensive coordinator for the finest in New York City. He's been with this team for so many years. He told me when he first walked into the locker room as a player, the first guy to shake his hand, Detective Mike Saravolo, who at the time I don't believe was a detective, but Mike Saravolo, a longtime charter member, and as rumor has it, might be considered for a Hall of Fame nomination. Time will tell on that.
Quinlan with the ball off the left side. He'll try to find some room to run. Bring the ball to the 10-yard line. Ball's loose. It's going to be under the pile. We'll see where it's going to be. And I think NYPD is going to recover it, judging by the body language from the Rampage. That'll bring up 3rd down for the finest.
And Jim, that's what Roanoke needs. They gotta get a break. They got to get a break somewhere to give them some life. And with this heat, Jim, I think it'd be really easy to become dejected quickly, especially down 27-6. What do these guys do to stay in it here in the second quarter.
Yeah, they're going to have to, on defensively, they're going to have to go after somebody, maybe have to send some of those more of those backers, maybe even a backside corner blitz here, catch them off guard, and just little things like that, catching that momentum, knowing we can get this done against a really good team. I think would pick them up a lot. And again, we've seen flashes from them today as Quinlan now back in the shotgun, Woodley to his left. 3 receivers to the far side now. 3rd and 2 for the Finest. Quinlan now going to take it out to the far side. He'll cut it up past the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and he'll be knocked out of bounds at the 43-yard line. And Roanoke not able to hold them back. And NYPD now with a first down, 6:32 left here, second quarter.
And just another great example, design play for number 8. And give a ton of credit to those receivers for the Finest. Who says the receivers are the pretty boys? They got their nose dirty there, blocking for Quinlan, who nearly broke it wide open, but was eventually brought down. And Quinlan, one of the leading rushers today for the Finest of New York City.
3 receivers to the far side now. Donato and Obenheim will be the 2 far receivers. We'll have a slot and a single receiver to the near side. Quinlan now, quick pass out to the New York sideline. Will be caught, brought out to the 50, out to midfield, knocked out of bounds at the 42-yard line. Flag coming in. We'll see if this is going to be a late hit out of bounds.
McGrain on the reception.
For call from our referee. Flag came in from the far sideline.
We'll wait to see what the call will go.
So
against
holding
the Finest.
up against the Finest, so that will bring that run back. And Roanoke gets a break with 5:52 left here in the second quarter. I want to remind you, coming up here this evening, also after this game, Western Reserve Radio 2 and the iMedia 1 network will have the Erie Express and the Cleveland Cobras, a meeting of 2 undefeated teams in the Tri-Point Football League. 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock kickoff from Brooklyn Stadium near Cleveland, Ohio.
How's that for a promo, ladies and gentlemen?
A little plug there for our Cobras up there.
Jimmy Craven, man, you are a seasoned pro. You do. This guy does it all.
So 3 receivers.
And he keeps us safe, from the bad guys too. I mean, Jim, and you're running the board. What don't you do?
So quick pass out to the far side. Flag on the play. There was some movement on the line. They let it go, and I thought that these were NCAA rules that would have killed the play, but they let it go.
Donovan Brown. Woo! That guy, you talk about a piggyback ride. Brown just swallowed up
5:24.
The ball carrier.
5:24 left here, second quarter. 27-6 is the New York lead. It'll be encroachment against Roanoke. And I believe they're going to take the penalty so they get the down over again. And they'll mark this ball at the New York 45-yard line. As breeze now coming through the press box here. A little cooler up here. Can't imagine what it's like on the field.
Oh, man. I can't either. You know, Kyle Johnson told me in walking around the field during walkthrough yesterday, very soft field, except in the middle where they are right now. Field tends to be a little bit harder as well.
Pitch out for New York and out to the 49 and a big open field tackle. I believe that's going to be Sam Edmonds, also playing receiver today, out there playing safety, gets the tackle. Great open field technique. And it's going to be second down now for New York.
That's a football tackle right there by number 10, Edmonds. And his ability to stay with his target as well. Beautiful job by Edmonds.
Second and 5 for the Finest. Ball now at the 48-yard line. 4:30 left here, second quarter. 3 receivers to the far side now as Obenheim will bunch up. Have a single receiver to the near side. Back to pass, stepping up. That's going to be O'Connell. It's going to be caught at the 42-yard line. He'll cut back into the 35 and down to the 37-yard line. That'll be a first down for NYPD's Finest. Chris McGrain on the reception for NYPD.
And we talked about McGrain prior to the game. We talked about him in the first quarter. And we're talking about him again here with 4:05 to go to the half. McGrain quietly contributing for the Finest today. But another example, we saw a new QB, Quinlan out, and McGrain with a big reception there to give the Finest incredible field position at the 4-yard line.
Well, timing's everything. Anthony O'Connell back in at quarterback for the Finest. 1st and 10. O'Connell back to pass, 3-step drop. Gonna fire over the middle of the end zone, wide open. Touchdown, Finest. That's gonna be a 34-yard touchdown pass for New York. And they're gonna take a 33-6 lead here before the half. And I believe that's going to be Anthony Porcelli on the reception.
The Castleton University product out of James Madison High School, Anthony Porcelli, with a huge reception to bust this thing wide open. And the Finest setting up for the extra point, looking to make this a 34-6 lead.
So 3:33 left here as we wait for the snap on the conversion. Ball's back, kick is up, and it is good. So with 3:33 left here, second quarter, New York takes a 34-6 lead over Roanoke. We'll step aside for a quick timeout. You are listening to the NPSFL Division I National Championship here on Western Reserve Radio, a part of the iMedia One network. The Mahoning Valley's leader for golf, Milk Creek Golf Course, is now booking tee times for 2024. We offer stay and play opportunities available with 9 area hotel partners. For more information, visit our website at millcreekmetroparks.org. Also, look for new, exciting opportunities coming soon, including an indoor player development center with Trackman, an indoor Callaway club fitting center, and an Odyssey fitting studio in 2024. Follow us on Facebook at Milk Creek Golf Course or call 330-740-7112. In the second quarter, New York takes a 34-6 lead over the Roanoke Rampage as we try to keep track of all these scores coming up.
Well, you got at least 4 different players for the Finest to get into the end zone. You talk about diversity, you talk about choices for Clive Harding. Clive, of course, the offensive coordinator and the head coach for the Finest in New York City. Porcelli now in on the touchdown brigade for the Finest.
Kick will be picked up at the 14. Brought out near the 30-yard line, maybe the 31, and that's where Roanoke will take over with just about 3.5 minutes left here in this second quarter. A lot of work to be done here for Roanoke.
And I got to tell you, Jimmy, all this is going to do is help the Finest as this game marches on with 3:20 to go to the half. They have the opportunity now to rest guys. They can work in some of their guys back a little further back in their depth chart. And it's going to be an uphill battle for the Rampage if they want to get back into this one. And it's a big hill to climb.
Yeah, they're certainly going to have to look for a score here. Now, remember, they'll get the ball in the second half, so if they can put a couple drives together, they are well within this game. As Adams now will be back into pistol formation, 2 receivers to the far side, 2 to the near.
We got a 4-3-2 defensive set for the Finest.
Adams stepping up in the pocket. He's going to take it himself past the 30, 35, and he'll slide down at the 37-yard line. He'll give himself up. That'll bring up 2nd and 4 for Roanoke. And maybe for right now, that's what Roanoke's going to have to take, just those 3- and 4-yard plays.
You know, Shemaiah Adams, I mentioned a former linebacker. You know, for a kid that never played high school football, Jim, I mean, he is a terrific athlete. He's made some very good decisions today with the football and with this vaunted Finest defense. He's worked with what he's been given, and a couple of pieces for Roanoke could put them over the top.
Adams taking a shot downfield, and it's going to be thrown out of bounds, intended for Brown, but just too much on it. Adams trying to get out of the pocket. I'll bring up 3rd down now for Roanoke.
Excellent coverage by PC for PD, Paul Clennon.
So ball placed at the 37-yard line. 3rd and just about 4 yards. They need to get to the 41 for a first down. 2:19 left here in this first half. Comes now into shotgun. We'll have Michael Johnson to his left. Twin receivers to each side.
So, yeah, twins on either side. I like the matchup here on the right side. Let's see what Adams can do. He looks left, stays left.
Adams under pressure is going to be brought down in the backfield. Eluded one tackler, but he wasn't going to be able to get away from Anthony Lombardi, and that's going to be Lombardi's second sack of the day.
Lombardi's been an absolute beast defensively for the Finest of New York. You mentioned his second sack today. He's had a bunch of rushes. And more importantly and more impressively, that guy doesn't seem to run out of gas. Lombardi's been all over the place.
Well, I wouldn't recommend running from him in New York if you can avoid it.
This is true.
Heat doesn't seem to bother him.
I was talking to TJ Donato before the game, the receiver, 12-year veteran of this Finest team, who's in on the Warrants division in New York City.
Ball fumbled by Bakers, under pressure, brought down at the 15-yard line. And the Finest are going to set up in the red zone, 1st and 10, with 1:03 left here in the first half.
You know, Donato talked about law and order and doing the right thing and how the culture of this football team for New York has changed. And we got a player down.
Looks like an NYPD player on the turf. Heat, I would assume, starting to take a toll here at the end of this first half. Just 1:03 left in this second quarter. NYPD with a 34-6 lead over Roanoke here in this Division I NPSFL championship.
That was Kevin Ferguson, the big lineman out of Buffalo State. Fort Hamilton High School is going to slowly walk off without the helmet. He seems to be okay. And Jimmy, I got to say, I mean, the half cannot come quicker for Roanoke with 1:03 to go. They just got to want to get out of this without giving up any more points here. Easier said than done. Get into the locker room, cool off, and hopefully Brad Harris can make some adjustments. We saw the Finest do it 3 weeks ago against the fire department, but they got to stop Quinlan here.
Hand off right off the left side. That'll be Brown on the carry for the Finest. Pick up a couple yards. Clock will continue to run here. 53 seconds. I don't think NYPD is. Well, actually, we're going to have a stoppage as New York is going to take a timeout with 50 seconds left here in this half, and they may be looking to put Roanoke away, knowing that Roanoke's going to get the ball in the second half.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, if you're going to stick the dagger in, now's not a better time to do it. There's no better time to do it than now. And, you know, I got to say one thing, Jimmy, just as we have a minute here to talk. I did not expect this dual quarterback situation at all from the Finest in New York City. It's been all Quinlan start to finish of late. And they must have been very tight-lipped about it, but it's paid off beautifully for the Finest in New York City.
Yeah, certainly no drop-off in performance by either individual. You're getting the same production there, and that is such a luxury to have, as Roanoke now knows with the injury to their quarterback, the struggles that you will probably incur just with the timing and sometimes even just simple things like the cadence.
You know, you're mentioning Jaden Williams, number 3, who was arguably the best player on this football team for Roanoke, and no excuses, but when you have 3 guys go down with torn ACLs in that game against Tri-State, I mean, that's beyond devastating. And that's exactly what happened in that game this season against Tri-State, including the starting quarterback for the Rampage.
Quinlan under center, help Brown behind him, pitch it out to the far side. Brown going to cut back inside and be brought down at the 19-yard line, at the 16-yard line. Maybe picked up one on the play. Well, they'll actually say he got back to the line of scrimmage, and 37 seconds here on a continuously running clock.
Folks, as we mentioned, coming up at halftime, we've got a special guest in the house, the president of the NPSFL, Jeff Price, who will sit in with us for an interview. So don't go anywhere after the break. We'll bring you Jeff.
Quinlan with a quick pass out to the near side, and it's going to be dropped. Pass was intended for Donato. Couldn't bring it in. And great coverage by Rodney Smith.
Donato, we mentioned him earlier. I rode with him into the game, and one of the longest tenured guys He's going to say I jinxed him because, come on, JP, that's a catchable football. He's been banged up all season. Last played in May, I believe. And I said, hey, JP, what do you want out of this game? He said, hey, I just want to help my teammates win. And it's got to be a thrill for JP. You know, was a starter for so many years on this team as we count down the final 10 seconds after this timeout. But I'm glad to see JP get in there. JP, make up for that in the second half, will you, kid? He's the guy in warrants that I was talking about. Bad guys that have warrants out for them. And JP does a lot of work in the streets of New York, finding guys, working with the U.S. Marshals and their own regional task force. And, you know, unfortunately, it's a job that a lot of these guys don't want to be locked up on warrants. And sometimes it gets physical for JP, and hats off to JP. He says, but there's slowly been a shift in the public conscience about, you know, the need for our law, LEOs, all over the country and all over the world. And JP leading the way, not only on the football field at the receiver position, maybe not on that attempt, but thank you, JP, for all you do. One of the longest tenured players on this finest team.
Little delay here as Quinlan looks like he's going to go under center. He'll have Woodley behind him. Be fourth down, ball at the 16-yard line.
JP denial.
And I believe we're trying to get the clock set back to 10 seconds, if I'm not mistaken here. We're down to 0. And a little technical snafu here as the scoreboard now is just completely gone off.
We've got a developing situation.
But we do know there's 10 seconds left here. Whether
well, you know, Jim, I feel like you know that I don't have a problem with the volume of my voice. And that's been apparent through these last 30 minutes. But you know, no scoreboard, no PA. I can just yell it. I'll yell it out from the mountaintops here.
So we're going to keep the clock on the field here with these final 10 seconds. Quinlan,
15 apparently.
Okay, so they give him 5 extra. As they'll go single receiver to each side, Quinlan under center, Woodley in the backfield. Tight ends to both sides for New York. Talk about the versatility of the finest offense. As we'll finally get the whistle for play. Send a man in motion from left to right. We'll get another whistle. And Roanoke will take their timeout now that they got an opportunity to see what the finest were doing. And I guess you can't take them with you, so you might as well use them.
This is true. It's also prolonging the sunlight exposure that these guys have had their fair share of here through the first through the first 2 quarters.
Timeout, Roanoke. Again, I want to remind you, coming up here right after this, we will join in progress. The Cleveland Cobras hosting the Erie Express. Paul Pennington and crew coming down from northeastern Pennsylvania to take on 3-0 Cleveland Cobras under head coach Adam Rogerson in his 3rd year. That game brought to you by Mark Means, Dave Clark, and of course, the always outstanding Dave Ferris. I tell everybody you should get a Dave Ferris. I could have brought one to Virginia with me today.
Ooh, ultimate compliment there.
Yep. When they start cloning people and Xeroxing them, we're going to sell them.
And we're starting with DF.
So see if we get this play off here as we come out of the Roanoke timeout. Again, 4th down, ball marked at the Roanoke 16-yard line. Woodley's been standing out in the sun for a while. I think he's getting a little bit tired just standing in the heat.
Well, as you said, time for one more, and it's going to be a time for the Rampage to reflect and make quick adjustments here at half if they want any shot at getting back in this one. I mean, we've seen stranger things happen. 34-6. It's been all New York City's finest in this one.
Quinlan, play action now rolling out to the near side, fires. Going to be caught at the 9-yard line. That's going to be caught by Kalichi Agu and defensively stopped by, that's going to be Sam Edmonds on the defense. He's also playing both sides of the ball as well.
Playing both sides, and you know, you could not have played that football more perfectly. And the reason I say that is Quinlan, I mean, threw that into the only possible place he could in order to make that completion. Edmonds was draped all over the finest receiver. Hats off to Quinlan on a gorgeous pass there.
And that's going to bring us to the end of the first half here in Salem, Virginia. New York's finest, they're going to head into the locker room with a 34-6 lead over the Roanoke Rampage. We're going to step aside for a quick timeout. You are listening to the NPSFL Division I National Championship here on Western Reserve Radio, a part of the iMedia One Network. We'll be right back after this.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
Catch all of the spring and summer action of Cleveland Cobras minor league football on Western Reserve Radio. Follow the Cobras as they compete against teams from around the region in pursuit of a Tri-Point Football League championship. And if you're looking to continue your football career after high school, college, or even the pros, or to be part of the Cobras staff, go to Facebook at Cleveland Cobras Football, or contact owner Jesse Caldwell at 330-416-3442. Be a part of the excitement of Cleveland Cobras football.
Youngstown, Warren, and Salem's local and national sports talk can be found on TuneIn and the Live 365 app at Western Reserve Radio. WRDB, The Scourge.
Whitefield, Salem, Virginia. Look at this scenic vistas everywhere. The home of the Alonzo Stagg Bowl Division III Championship. But today it's all about the National Public Safety Football League as the 2024 season concludes with our national championship. John Heffernan alongside Jim Craven. It's 34-6 as the finest in New York City lead the Roanoke Rampage. And joining me now, high above the gridiron, in the press box, we've got none other than the commissioner of the National Public Safety Football League, all the way in from the Lone Star State, Mr. Jeff Price, ladies and gentlemen.
John, thanks for having me.
It's not your first rodeo, Jeff, involved in national championships and all that you do. Last year, we had a partner in the First Responders Network, and we're ending this season in 2024 with a couple of different broadcast partners. But first, let's just talk about what it took to get here. Two really good teams going head-to-head in tough conditions. It's been all NYPD, but talk a little bit about the rise of this host team, the Roanoke Rampage, and what they've done in short order. They've only been in existence about 12 years.
Roanoke's done an outstanding job. They're a beautiful host today at their home field here in Roanoke. They came up and battled through the Division II, and this year went undefeated in the Division I. Did an outstanding job, and definitely deserves to be here in this game against an always powerhouse in our league, which is NYPD.
Absolutely, kind of the gold standard, as my broadcast partner talks about. NYPD, FDNY, kind of the big market teams that tend to get more of the attention. It's been nothing but an upward trajectory for the Rampage, playing for their first ever Division I national championship. What do you think of the game so far?
Well, I tell you, it's a little one-sided, but Roanoke is battling. And obviously, the Heat's getting to it, and New York has the numbers. And in a day like this, that can really be a big thing.
Jeff, for those who are new to the National Public Safety Football League, 16 teams, compromised Division I, Division II, 8 apiece. Tell me about your place in the league and some of the things you do. I know you got a kind of a funny story about the coin toss to determine the finest opponent today, which turned out to be the Rampage.
Absolutely. I've been around. This is my 27th year in this league. I'm the general manager and head coach of the Dallas Defenders, for the Dallas team in the league. There were actually 3 4-0 teams, 3 undefeated teams in the Division I, the national championship division this year. San Diego being the third 4-0 team. And it actually came down to a tie in all of our PowerPoints between Roanoke and San Diego, to where it comes down to our last tiebreaker is a coin flip. And so for that, I pulled out a Silver Eagle Liberty silver dollar, and we flipped it on Facebook Live, and Roanoke came out the winner of that, and so here we are.
That is so cool. A little bit, I know you've got some league meetings coming up towards the end of 2024 where you talk about maybe rules and schedule. Tell us a little bit about the health of the league. I know Philadelphia has dropped off, some problems in D.C., but we've got great representation in Chicago and on the West Coast. And just walk us through some of the current state of affairs with the NPSFL.
You know, there's a current state of change within the NPSFL, and that has to do a lot with teams come in. Some teams have better luck with fundraising, with sponsorships, which, you know, I encourage you, if you're a sponsor out there, if you're a business and you have an NPSFL team in your market, please support, because that is how these teams survive. There are no paid people in this league. I'm not paid anyone down. Everyone's a volunteer. All the money that we raise goes to either put on the best product of football that we can, or to our charities, and that's an individual charities as well as our league national charities. And so all the support we can get is what helps. And yes, we do have some teams that are struggling right now, but we have some new ones in the bullpen that hopefully will be coming on board, and hopefully those teams can recover. But that's where we are, and we have a core that's still going strong.
Tell me a little bit about, you as a general manager, a former player, a quarterback, a coach, now the president of the league. I don't think people realize how intense it is to be able to juggle. I mean, you got some finest football players here today with their wives and 2 and 3 kids in tow for the game, and managing life on the street, on the job, creating time for practice, raising money. The bulk of the staff that's on the road here from New York City speaks volumes about the commitment. Not a lot of money in the coffers for any team. How do you make it all work, and talk about the commitment that it takes from the players themselves?
Well, first of all, this is a charity organization that gets to play football, not the other way around. And that's a big thing. And these guys that come out that are involved in this, and I say guys, there's families involved in this. The men and women that support, kids that support, the people who are actually involved. These guys, at the end of the day, you must remember, are full-time police officers, firefighters, corrections officers. These are guys out there that are out there protecting your streets and answering your calls for service, and that's the most important thing. They are not paid athletes, yet here they are risking their life, risking their health to actually put on this product, which is the National Public Safety Football League football, and put on a very good product year to year.
Tell me a little bit about the current iteration of the Dallas team and your place in it, and your season, and on what to expect moving forward.
Well, we had 2 very strong seasons. We were to the championship 2 years in a row, the Division II. This year we missed it by a game, and we hope to be back in the battle next year. The team's excited. We were right there in the mix. We didn't come down to a coin flip, but it was pretty close to the same thing with PowerPoints and wins and losses. We do congratulate the Charlotte Cobras for their win in the Division II championship today over the San Bernardino Spartans in Charlotte. And the Dallas Defenders will be back fighting again next year.
Jeff Price, ladies and gentlemen, the commissioner of the National Public Safety Football League, obviously speaks volumes that you're here today, Jeff, and I really believe that there is nothing but upside to the future of this league. Any parting thoughts about some things we can watch for next year and in the months to come?
We're just trying to make the product bigger and better, keep growing our fan base, and we appreciate every single one of you fans out there for every single one of our teams, and we're going to keep battling out here to raise money for our charities, and we hope you support us.
Jeff Price, Commissioner, National Public Safety Football League, we thank you so much for joining us. And before we go to break, I want to bring in a representative of this host team, a very gracious host. You heard how they got here. The president of the Roanoke Rampage, Mr. Jamison Radcliffe, everybody. I said that right, Jamo?
You did, brother. I appreciate you inviting me up here. Happy to be part of this broadcast once again.
You know, when I came into the parking lot, you were soaking wet. You were carrying heavy boxes. You were giving fruit and drinks to the the police department of New York City, running around doing your thing. Got to be hands-on. Were you excited when you won the coin toss? And what does it mean to be host here for the national championship and playing in the game?
Well, honestly, it was a mixture of a lot of different emotions, as you can imagine. Excited to actually be part of the Division I National Public Safety Football League Championship, breaking through barriers on that. But then the realization came in, it's against NYPD finest, the blue chippers of the league that are fighting for this thing every single year. So it was a little bit of excitement, a little bit of nervousness. We're happy to be here. We're happy to see what we're doing here, but this is a hot game, so mixed emotions all the way around.
Well, clearly a tough first half for the Rampage. I don't know. I'm not sure how much of it you got to watch, but what if you're in that locker room at halftime? What do you think's being discussed, and what can the Rampage do to maybe try to get back into this thing?
Well, I'd like to say focus on one particular player, but when you're fighting a caliber team like NYPD, you can't just focus on one player. You have to look at multiple teams or multiple players throughout that team. If I'm the coach, which I'm nowhere close to being a coach, I'm looking at number 9 right now, the wide receiver.
Johnson,
He's just dominating all the way down the field, short little in and out routes. He's hard to contain right now.
Listen, we want to thank you for being such an incredible host, such a beautiful stadium. For those of you who have not been to this part of Virginia, any of our listeners up in New York, I mean, absolutely gorgeous. I saw a bunch of deer yesterday. For a guy in the Bronx, I felt like I was in Jurassic Park. There were deer running through, although we got coyotes in Van Cortlandt Park in the Bronx. But beautiful setting. You've done an amazing job. You guys have been so gracious. I also want to give a big shout out to the defensive end for the Rampage, Todd Farris, not Harris, who's one of the
General
coaches.
Manager, yeah.
Todd has been incredible. Picked me up from the airport, has given me the rosters, and has been so communicative and helpful. So all of you guys, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for you and Todd and Jeff and everybody. So I feel like
I'll tell you a quick little thing about Todd Farris, excuse me. I might hold the rank of president, but it's Todd. If you need something, that guy's going to run this team through and through.
Well, he's been terrific. He really has been.
He's a great addition to us.
Jameson Radcliffe, a tremendous host. Roanoke Rampage couldn't ask for a more beautiful setting. I'm going to go get something to drink, boys. Not an adult beverage, a little water. I got to hydrate here before kickoff for the second half. We will be back after this. It is 34-6. Finest with a big lead here in the Division I National Championship game. Coming to you live from Salem, Virginia. We'll be back right after this.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
Professional, fast, highly knowledgeable, easy to work with. These are real reviews by customers of Sandrock Concrete. For all your concrete block, brick, stonework, and excavating needs, call Jerry Sandrock. For your free estimate at 330-506-0013. Sandrock Concrete is fully insured and ready to make your ideas a reality. Sandrock Concrete is a proud supporter and sponsor of Mahoning Valley High School football on Western Reserve Radio.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier. Then make sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
Located in Applewood Estates in Boardman Township, the Applewood Swim and Tennis Club offers a pleasant family environment. Choose a membership that meets your needs and enjoy a relaxing venue that includes not only swimming for the family, but also youth activities such as competitive swimming, tennis, and more. Enjoy the friendly atmosphere all summer long with the staff and members of the Applewood Swim and Tennis Club. For more information, go to applewoodswimandtennis.com or call 330-953-2833.
The Storks are bringing me a baby brother! We can do this together!
All right, let's go!
Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you?
What?
Oh my gosh, you don't know!
I know!
You don't! Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No! Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this!
You will rock this!
To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
Cool. Very cool.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan.
Separated.
We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
Idea how to find each other.
The whole experience was fine.
the most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Message.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard. So you don't need to start foraging wild berries.
I was skeptical, but these are actually pretty good.
You don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
You just need FeedThePig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at FeedThePig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Calvin.
The Mahoning Valley's leader for golf, Milk Creek Golf Course, is now booking tee times for 2024. We offer stay and play opportunities available with 9 area hotel partners. For more information, visit our website at millcreekmetroparks.org. Also, look for new, exciting opportunities coming soon, including an indoor player development center with Trackman, an indoor Callaway Club Fitting Center, and an Odyssey Fitting Studio in 2024. Follow us on Facebook at Milk Creek Golf Course or call 330-740-7112.
Timeout.
All right. Remember, we're a team that plays together. Listen, the winning will take care of itself. We just have to get everyone involved.
In interscholastic sports, we celebrate what makes every one of us unique. And in the pursuit of a common goal, everyone in the huddle, in the bleachers, and in the community comes together. This message presented by the OHSAA and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Catch all of the spring and summer action of Cleveland Cobras minor league football on Western Reserve Radio. Follow the Cobras as they compete against teams from around the region in pursuit of a Tri-Point Football League championship. And if you're looking to continue your football career after high school, college, or even the pros, or to be part of the Cobras staff, go to clevelandcobrasfootball.com, Facebook at Cleveland Cobras Football, or contact owner Jesse Caldwell at 330-416-3442. Be a part of the excitement of Cleveland Cobras football.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard. So you don't need to start foraging wild berries.
I was skeptical, but these are actually pretty good.
You don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
You just need FeedThePig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at FeedThePig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all gotta see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
Accidents happen. That's why you need Repair That Glass. Specializing in windshield replacement and all other auto glass, we offer a full range of automotive glass repairs. Our technicians can do everything from minor chip repair to a complete replacement. Your windows don't go up or down, they can fix that too, along with custom glass work and antiques. Repair That Glass is a family-run business for over 40 years. Repair That Glass. Call for your appointment now at 330-534-3192.
Third quarter action coming up here from Willis White Field in Salem, Virginia, as the NYPD Finest, they jump out to a 34-6 lead over the Roanoke Rampage. And a lot of talk going up on here, up in the press box about what does Roanoke have to do. And I would have to say safely on this first drive, they're going to have to get in the end zone.
Absolutely. Once again, John Heffernan alongside Jimmy Craven. We are moments away from the start of the third quarter here at Willis White Field. How am I as a kind of a play-by-play sounding guy?
I'm having fun. Let's put it that way. I'm having a good time.
I'm working with. I guess what I'm getting at, Jim Craven, is that the Finest in New York City are going to have the luxury here of trying lots of different things in this second half. But this first series for the Rampage is crucial.
And we are underway third quarter here. This ball is going to be picked up at the 15-yard line. And try to cut back to the near side up to 25, out to the 30, 35, and down to the 38-yard line. And Roanoke will start with decent field position to get this third quarter started.
Oh, and look at that heavy tackle by number 38 for the Finest. That's Eugene Whitehead out of Holy Trinity High School, Nassau Community College, with a solid thump. But it's going to be great field position for the Rampage. And field position hasn't really been the problem, Jim Craven. We talked about one of our keys to the game for the NYPD, play great defense. Well, no, you know what, Captain Obvious. Of course, they've done just that. But it's been the ball through the air that has surprised so many in that first half. 5 touchdowns, 4 different players scoring for the Finest, including Woodley. Obi got in there as well, as did Kyle Johnson.
A little bit of a change in the backfield now as Adams had the ball on the pitch. He was the tailback trying to get to the far side, and he's going to throw this out of bounds. Smart vet move by Shemaiah Adams. And that time they had Lewis Bell at the quarterback position and Adams at the tailback position.
And we got a player down for the Finest on his knees being tended to. I like the pursuit there defensively for the Finest by number 34, who we have not talked a whole lot about today. Maurice Evans out of Christ the King. He was a full scholarship athlete at Penn State University, Division I. And look for Mo here in this second half. He is new to this Finest football team. Mo played with the New York Giants in the National Football League, signed with them, one of 5 teams in the NFL that Evans played for. At 35 years old, he took the test to become a cop at 34, was a special ed teacher before that. And I'll tell you what, Mo Evans also with a successful 2-year stint in the Canadian Football League, as we're happy to see number 50, who is that?
That's Anthony Lombardi coming off
Lombardi.
the field. And he's had quite the day already, 2 sacks in the first half.
Lombardi, a key cog to this defense. And just wrapping it up there at the DN position. He is at right defensive end right now, number 34. Look at the speed of number 34. See him get to the outside.
Adams back to pass under pressure. Going to throw it away to the side. Actually going to hit a receiver at the 40-yard line. Outstanding move. And Roanoke will get a first down if they give it to him. Yeah, it'll be at the 49. Kind of an improvised play. Thought he was trying to throw the ball out of bounds, but a great play, and I believe that was going to be Edmonds on the reception for Roanoke.
And it was Evans chasing the quarterback out of the pocket, but a desperation pass and a great little whoop catch, making everybody miss.
So 1st and 10 now for the Rampage. The ball at their own 49-yard line, just near midfield here. 13:53 left here, third quarter as we get the second half underway. Adams now into pistol formation. 2 receivers on the near side. He'll send a man in motion, give it a handoff off the left side. 1 stiff arm, try to get to the sideline. He'll get out to the midfield stripe. And they'll give him credit. Actually, depending on what side of the field you're on, give them credit for one. It'll be 2nd and 9 now for Roanoke.
Jeff Cobb out of Roanoke PD. Big block there, freeing up the runner. Cobb got a lot going on down there. He's a big man, letting it all hang out.
Sean Williams and Matt Weiss will check out for NYPD. They'll take a breather. 13:30 left here, third quarter. Finest with a 34-6 lead over the Rampage. Rampage now with the ball 2nd and 9 at the midfield stripe.
Got to give a lot of credit to number 99 on that O-line as well.
DeAndre Brown now at quarterback. He's going to take it himself, try to find room off the right side. He's going to have room to the 40, 30, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Roanoke Rampage. 13:02 of the third quarter. It's 34-13. The Rampage come out quick in the third quarter and get in the end zone.
DeAndre Brown out of the VA Department of Corrections, busting it wide open. Right up the gut. And Jim Craven, you said it. They got to score here in the third quarter to get this thing going. And limping off the field is the guy that scored the touchdown, DeAndre Brown. And let's hope that
with this heat, I don't think it's going to be a cramp because that was a 50-yard run. And
the biggest play of the day, Jim, will come in the hands and feet of DeAndre Brown, who makes it 34-12 as they set up the extra point.
I said 13, didn't I? Well, that's my Youngstown City math. Thank you.
Almost.
I can't even. Cleveland can't even take credit for me. As we'll have a whistle here, timeout for Roanoke. 13:02 left here in this third quarter. Again, coming up this evening at 6:30, your pregame for the Cleveland Cobras and the Erie Express. Two of the powerhouse teams in the region will meet, both 3-0 in the Tri-Point Football League. Adam Rogerson trying to get Cleveland to 4-0 for the first time in, I'd say about 15 years. And the Erie Express, with their first year in the Tri-Point Football League after leaving the GDFL, undefeated as well. Getting a big win over the Wildcats and, WPA Wildcats and the Mahoning Valley Federals in the last 2 weeks. Again, that coming up at 7 p.m. We'll join that game in progress as we wrap this up from Salem, Virginia. And a good crowd on hand considering that it's really warm out today.
It is. I want to give Frank's Pizza a shout out on Williamson Road in Roanoke, one of our sponsors. I believe Frank's is going to be hooking up both teams with some of their finest pizza and other things from Frank's Pizza on Williamson Road. That'll be postgame. Feeding two hungry teams after a game like this is a tall order, and Frank's Pizza to the task.
High formation there, heading for the end zone. Going to hit the pylon. 2-point conversion for the Rampage. 34-14 is the score. And they're not quite done yet, as Persinger will get into the end zone for the conversion. And Roanoke coming out with a little bit more energy.
Absolutely, a lot more than the finest, that's for sure. And Persinger, Zay, what a call to go for two, and it's 34-14 in the opening drive of this third quarter. Jim, there is a lot of football left to play, and this thing doesn't seem as impossible as it did just 20 short minutes ago.
We'll see if Roanoke can respond defensively as they have to take on this finest offense that are 2 and 3 deep at most positions. And I can speak from experience. When you look and you play against that tight end, and there's 3 of them that look like they could be triplets, all 6'4", 225, chiseled like Greek gods.
Absolutely.
So Baker to kick off for Roanoke, and that's the strength of New York, though.
We should change this to what you talking about, Willis Field. Willis White Field, because Roanoke's not going away at all. And they may be the underdog like Arnold from Different Strokes, but they made a big statement with that touchdown there.
Baker set to kick off for Roanoke. 12:57 left here, third quarter. Baker with a short kick. It'll hit right around the 27-yard line, head towards the sideline. It's going to be picked up by New York, brought out to the 35, 40, and brought down at the 40-yard line.
McGrain showing some wheels to answer right back. Excellent field position for the Finest. And now the question becomes, Jim Craven, after that first half, and despite the depth, is it hard to get up and play a second half in this heat with such a big lead? It's almost like maybe, hey, man, the game's over. What do you think the mentality's got to be from the Finest here to keep things going?
Yeah, certainly. Can't take your foot off the gas now, but Roanoke didn't get the memo on that one as the Finals to take this on the end around, bring it out past the 40, down to the 45-yard line. And it'll be Chris McGrain on the carry, his first carry of the day, as he'll be knocked out of bounds onto the Roanoke sideline.
And I have a feeling we're going to see a lot more of what we're seeing now. This time it's number 51 on all fours for the Rampage. I believe that's 51. Or no, it's a 21. Jamal Payne. And he slowly comes off the field. Jamal out of the Lynchburg PD. Seems to be okay. But just the exhaustion, Jim, the cramping, guys starting to drop like flies.
Quinlan now into shotgun. Woodley to his left, three receivers to the far side. 2nd and 6, fires quickly out to the left side. It's going to be caught at the 45 and brought out to the 50. He'll stretch the ball, but they're only going to give him the 49, so he'll be a yard short. And it'll bring up 3rd and 1 for New York.
And what a great little play that was. Brian Dice, is it Dice Jr.? Brian Dice getting in on the action? Yeah,
certainly
Brian.
at the receiver spot.
Brian Dice out of Half Hollow Hills High School in the Misericordia. In on the receiving action for the Finest. But that little, just that little in route, good for several yards, which will bring up 3rd and short.
Jemiah Adams actually coming out from the linebacker position there now. As Quinlan will take the ball himself up the middle, design quarterback run, get past the midfield stripe, bring it down to the 45-yard line. They'll give him the 46, but that'll be enough for a first down for NYPD's Finest.
So Quinlan converts on the 3rd down there with the keeper, as you mentioned, Jim. And, Jim, you know, if your head coach, Clive Harding, who's also the offensive coordinator for the Finest, it doesn't surprise me to see this. You know, run the ball, keep the clock moving. You've got the 34-14 lead. It's hot as heck. Just try to limit mistakes and eat up clock as much as you can. And running the ball there, getting the first down, the Finest are doing just that.
Bunch formation to the near side. Now Quinlan, quick pass out to the near side. It's going to be picked up at the 47-yard line. Brought out to the 40, 35, 30, 25. Going to cut back in. And Kyle Johnson on the run after the catch. And a great pitch and catch.
Oh, I got to give some love to J.P. Donato, the receiver for the Finest there. Great job of blocking. Donato, relentless, creating a lot more space for Kyle Johnson. I had to make up for Kyle for Donato's drop there in the first half. I wouldn't have heard the end of it from him tonight. But seriously, J.P. Donato, excellent job of staying with his assignment on that play. And Johnson just cutting across the middle, creating a lot of space and doing what he do. Kyle Johnson, number 9 for the Finest.
Great blocking by the outside receivers. Quinlan now in the shotgun, Woodley to his left. 3 receivers to the outside. Johnson going to be the outside receiver. And it's going to be Quinlan firing to the end zone. And the only person to catch it's going to be a Roanoke Rampage player. And he's going to hand it off. They're going to try to decide just to take a knee. Almost brought that one out. The pick by Wesley Richer. And that's going to give Roanoke a 1st and 10. First turnover of the day for New York.
First turnover of the day, first pick of the day for the Rampage. And it appears to me, Jim, that Quinlan tried to get that out of bounds, but wasn't successful, that's for sure. Looked like he might be trying to throw that one away, but to no avail. And we talked about the Rampage needing a big play in that first half. Well, they get 2 here to start the 3rd quarter, and we are barely 5 minutes into this thing in quarter number 3, and it looks like a brand new Roanoke Rampage.
Yeah, certainly building it just play by play here. Great offensive set to get the 3rd quarter started. A turnover in the end zone will give them the ball 1st and 10 at their own 20-yard line. 10-10 left here, 3rd quarter. Rampage trail by a score 34-14, but this game not over by any stretch if you ask Roanoke.
What did you think Quinlan was trying to do there? Because there was no receiver within anywhere.
Almost looked like there was a miscommunication maybe, because it looked like
a misroute maybe?
Yeah, it looked like Roanoke was running the route for him. So Adams with the handoff to try to get to the outside, past the 20. And he'll pick up a couple yards on the play. It'll be Persinger on the carry for the Rampage.
You know, Clive Harding, the head coach for the Finest, was telling me prior to the game that, 40 new guys tried out for this police department team from New York City, and they kept 30, Jim. It gives you an idea of the turnover and the new blood, and I'm only mentioning that because this is a new Finest football team. And Clive also talking about changing the culture on this team and forgetting about X and O's. That's what I think Clive Harding has done the best at. Not to take anything away from his offensive calling ability, but it's a different culture. It's a different team for the police department of New York City this year. Less individuals, more family, as evidenced by the season they've put together today and this season. A lot of confidence, a lot of humility out of this police department, but it's the Rampage.
Rampage
on the comeback trail right now.
Just got a 5-yard penalty for a delay of game, their third of the day. Adams now in the shotgun, twin receivers to each side. Adams stepping up in the pocket, trying to avoid some pressure, and he's going to get past the 15 down to the 16. Don't give him the 17, actually. That'll be a pickup of 2. It'll be 2nd and 13. As Roanoke, for whatever reason, seems to be having trouble getting that play into the huddle and getting to the line. It's cost them 15 yards so far today.
Yeah, that's a good point. Communication is key. And that pocket just collapsed around Adams. He stepped up as best he could. But when the pocket collapses, the line collapses, the team collapses. Credit that D-line from the Finest of New York City right now.
Adams not going to be in the pistol now. 2 receivers to the near side. Single receiver to the far side. Give it a handoff to the right side. Going to have a hole. It closed up quickly, though. And it looked like that was going to be Charles Saunders, just able to reach out and grab an ankle. I'm going to bring him down. And I've got a flag on the play, and they're going to say a face mask against the Finest. That's going to be enough for a Roanoke first down. So everything kind of going Roanoke's way, even with the loss of yards.
Brandon Ravello in on that play for the Finest. I'm not sure who got the face mask. Ravello, been a stalwart all season long on the line for the Finest. Brandon Ravello out of DeWitt Clinton High School.
So 1st and 10 for the Rampage. Ball now marked at the 33-yard line. 8:09 left here, third quarter. Finest with a 34-14 lead, although Roanoke came out quickly, found pay dirt, and then got a turnover via an interception. As Adams now in the shotgun, running back to his left, 3 receivers to the far side. Single man-to-man at the bottom of your screen here. Stepping up in the pocket, fires down there, looking for a receiver, some contact. He's going to go down. No flags on the play.
You gotta be kidding me.
Pass was intended for Sam Edmonds. And a lot of contact going down. It looked like Edmonds was being bounced around a little bit, but no call from the officials.
And I kind of telegraphed that one, Jimmy. I saw the eyes of Adams, and I liked the matchup there with Edmonds, and Edmonds had everybody beat. And the only thing the Finest could do was to really just kind of, mug the guy, and I can't believe the flag stayed in the pocket.
Well, it would have been well worth the penalty had the penalty been called. So that'll bring up 2nd and 10 now for Roanoke. Edmonds will make his way back onto the field after he tried to catch a quick break, but they'll need him back on the offense. And we're going to have a whistle.
Oh, this is going to be a hydration break.
All right.
A required hydration break. You don't see that often.
All right, so timeout here in Salem, Virginia. 7:16 left here, third quarter. We'll step aside for a quick timeout. You are listening to the NPSFL Division I National Championship here on Western Reserve Radio, a part of the iMedia One network. We'll be right back after this.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
Youngstown, Warren, and Salem's local and national sports talk can be found on TuneIn and the Live 365 app at Western Reserve Radio. WRDB, The Scourge.
Adams plants his feet, steps up under pressure, and it's going to elude one tackler, and he's going to get this one off, and it's going to be complete at the 49-yard line. Caught by Austin Rowland, and that's going to be a first down for the Roanoke Rampage.
Jim, how did Adams stay on his feet? My goodness, 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shots. Adams keeps the play alive and somehow gets the throw off, and it's a first down and the reception.
Was able to extend the play, and that's the second time we've seen that from Roanoke to date. First one resulted in a 50-yard touchdown.
You know, one of these guys, I think it was Epperly, was saying, we believe we've got one of the hardest-hitting teams in this league. You know what I'm going to add to that? I'm going to add to one of the biggest hearts in this league, and that may sound corny, but this team could have cashed it in after the first half, and they've come out flying here in the third quarter.
Fire out to the flats, and it's going to be intercepted at the 49-yard line. Manny Tejada on the interception for the finest.
Mr. Cool, the roving Manny Tejada. I mean, he made that look easy, as Adams didn't have a whole lot on that throw. Tejada steps right in front of it, and we got the second pick of the ball game for the finest.
Yeah, Adams couldn't get his feet set there. Couldn't get a good throw in there. Tejada breaking on that from his linebacker position. Finest will take over 1st and 10 at the midfield stripe. 6:20 left here, third quarter. New York with a 34-14 lead. They'll come out in a 4-wide receiver set. Again, Quinlan in the shotgun, Woodley to his left.
I hate to say it, but that non-call on that pass play against the non-call against the finest coming back to bite the Rampage right now after that turnover.
Certainly would have changed the complexity of the game here. They'll hand us off to Woodley. Woodley hit at the line of scrimmage and brought down.
Jeez.
Instant contact there. Woodley ran into a wall. Dejon Cardwell.
Gracious.
I think in some countries, him and Woodley are married now. Wow.
Oh God. 95 is an absolute monster.
You might want to consider running around him next time.
Out of the Virginia Department of Corrections. Plays both ways, by the way. Nose tackle, defensive tackle, or plays nose tackle and defensive tackle, Dejon Cardwell. Wow.
Quinlan in the shotgun. Plants his feet, fires out to the far side, caught at the midfield stripe. And it'll be brought down at the 44-yard line. Brian Dice, I believe, on the reception for New York. They're still going to be short of the first down, but call it about 3 yards.
I'll tell you, with that defensive line for the Rampage, it might put Frank's Pizza out of business after this game. Williamson Road, one of our food title sponsors, apparently going to be feeding both teams after the game.
Which, that'll be interesting, considering New York comes from pretty much the
pizza
home
capital of the world.
That's right. So we'll see. He'll hand us off to Woodley. Barely got it into his belly. He'll give the first down to the 38-yard line.
Shout out John's on Bleecker, one of my favorites down in the Village in Manhattan. Actually, believe it or not, you've got Little Italy down there in the Bronx. You've got Arthur Avenue. Arthur Avenue known more for their delis, breads, and restaurants, and their pizzerias. But In my neighborhood in the Bronx, I can believe it or not, man, I should start my own pizza place there and make a killing. We got a couple. They're okay, but anyway, we move on.
1st and 10 now, ball at the Roanoke 38-yard line. Quinlan in the shotgun. Woodley to his right. 4:13 left here, third quarter. Quinlan going to fire out to the near side. O'Brien with the catch at the 37. He'll make his way past the 20, and he'll be knocked out of bounds at the 15-yard line. Enough for a first down for New York, and they'll continue to grind out on this drive.
Obi says, hey, what about me? Obi-Wan Kenobi with tons of room out there. Like a walk in the park. Gets close to or inside the red zone.
You know, and such simplicity. You're just getting the ball to your playmakers on the outside and letting them do what they do.
Jim, I think with all of this paperwork and research, I mean, that's just pretty much sums it up. Let our guys do what they do. They're prepared. They've watched a lot of film, and you got to trust in them, right?
And we're going to have a whistle here, and Roanoke is going to take a timeout. We'll step aside for a quick break. You are listening to the NPSFL Division I National Championship here on Western Reserve Radio, a part of the iMedia One Network. We're right back after this. The Mahoning Valley's leader for golf, Milk Creek Golf Course, is now booking tee times for 2024. We offer stay and play opportunities available with 9 area hotel partners. For more information, visit our website at millcreekmetroparks.org. Also, look for new, exciting opportunities coming soon, including an indoor player development center with Trackman, an indoor Callaway Club Fitting Center, and an Odyssey Fitting Studio in 2024. Follow us on Facebook at Milk Creek Golf Course or call 330-740-7112. Catch all of the spring and summer action of Cleveland Cobras minor league football on Western Reserve Radio. Follow the Cobras as they compete against teams from around the region in pursuit of a Tri-Point Football League championship. And if you're looking to continue your football career after high school, college, or even the pros, or to be part of the Cobras staff, go to Facebook at Cleveland Cobras Football or contact owner Jesse Caldwell at 330-416-3442. Be a part of the excitement of Cleveland Cobras football. 3:37 left here, third quarter. Quinlan in the shotgun. Woodley to his left. Three-step drop by Quinlan. Looking out to his left. Fires over the middle. And it's going to be caught in the end zone. That'll be 6 more for New York's finest, Chris McGrain.
Well, that was the good luck charm for McGrain before the game. I said, Chris, you got to get more involved. And McGrain with the touchdown reception, Jim. And now that's 5. How many different scorers for the finest? At least 5 to my count.
I believe you are correct, and it's unbelievable because as a defensive coordinator, who do you focus on? Where do you go when there's just no weaknesses?
It's such a great point.
That coming at 3:33 left in the third quarter. 40-14 is the score. NYPD will try for the conversion. Kick is up, and
Flag.
it is good, and there is a flag on the play. I believe that's going to be encroachment. We'll see if they're going to tag that on the kick. So 3:33 left here, third quarter.
Chris McGrain out of LIU Post and Lynbrook High School. Quiet kid, but has to be happy there. And it's with 3:33 to go here in quarter 3, Jim Craven. You know, we saw some signs of life in this third quarter from the Rampage, but too much. New York City Police Department, too many tools, too many layers to this team, at least the 2024 iteration, who looks to run the table and go undefeated to claim this national championship in 2024.
You know, it's kind of like boxing where, you know, you get the pound-for-pound guys, but sometimes some guys just got more pounds than you do, and certainly player for player, Roanoke's done a good job today, but when you're playing against that depth in these conditions, it's tough, and certainly credit to the Rampage.
Clive Harding, the head coach, been around this finest team since he's 14 years old. Talked about passing it down, generation to generation, family to family. And the PD in New York has a big pool to choose from, Jim Craven.
Well, 35,000 strong there in the city as Roanoke will return this one out to the 25-yard line. And the one thing that New York is really known for, and I think the rest of the world envies, is the tradition inside the city, whether it's the police department, the fire department. Now you even see the corrections doing the same thing. So there's an outstanding aura that goes along with New York, in terms of just a tradition and the pride that goes into this. And I don't care if they're playing football or if they're playing cards at a table. It's going to be an event, and one of our bucket lists for my son and I is to go see the hockey game, because we heard
19,000 at UBS this year.
We heard once in a while that a hockey game breaks out there.
I know, quite a few scraps over the years.
True rivalry there.
You mentioned the pool, or I mentioned the pool in which to draw from. I think it's only 6,100 for you guys statewide, at least for this football team. Does that sound
certainly,
right?
That was the demise, unfortunately, of the Cleveland Warriors, not being able to replace with a younger core. As Roanoke going to lose a couple of yards on the play. Carry by Persinger, nowhere for him to go.
And we say 6,100. I mean, not everyone plays football either, so it's a sport, and not a lot of people play, period. All these athletes in the state of Virginia, you got good athletes. Hey, man, I want to play lacrosse. I want to play baseball. I want to swim. I want to play tennis. I want to play volleyball. And with all the head injuries and things that people have top-button topics that are discussed, it's still, to me, such a beautiful game. And, of course, you can't underestimate the 10,000-pound behemoth in the National Football League as a business model. But it's good to see these two teams showing the commitment and being out here today.
Brown taking the snap himself upfield past the 40, and he'll make it to the 45. DeAndre Brown with the carry.
And a big hit by Paul Clennon, who lays down the hammer.
Yeah, Brown not getting up there. Looked like he took a shot to that right knee. And we hope that it's not worse than what it looked. As DeAndre Brown took the direct snap, was a little high, brought it down, found the lane, and got out near midfield. So hopefully just a little shaken up there, and we'll see if he can walk off on his own, as Persinger will try to help him up.
Thank God we haven't seen too many, haven't appeared to see too many injuries. I think there's one thing to be hurt, Jim. It's another thing to be injured. Guys talk about that. I could play hurt. MJ today for Roanoke. I'm going to try to play. It's the national championship game. But this guy looks like he might be injured, and let's hope not.
We'll see if he can collect himself here. 2:10 left here, third quarter. NYPD with a 41-14 lead over the Roanoke Rampage, and Brown will get up with some assistance. And we'll see if he can walk off on his own. And again, that right knee looked like it took a shot.
Well, he also seems to be a little woozy, too, I might add.
And certainly dehydration, something that will complicate a concussion as well. So, again, you look at the sideline, you see a lot of the Gatorade jugs, bags of ice. So everybody taking as many precautions as reasonably possible.
DeAndre Brown, too, with a touchdown in this ball game.
Certainly keeping Roanoke in the game here as New York now opens the gap.
A big loss for the Rampage. DeAndre, I hope you're okay. Let's get back to live action.
3 receivers now to the far side. Shmai Adams in an empty backfield. 2 receivers to the near side, moving right to left on your devices. Back to pass, stepping up. Nowhere to go, going to take it himself. Out past midfield, get to the 45 and fight his way down to the 41-yard line. Shmai Adams with a big run. He gets a first down for Roanoke, and Roanoke still with some fight.
Only thing missing on that Mack truck of a run from Adams was him pulling that air horn a few times. Woo, woo! Adams showing what he can do, put his head down, and now it's taking a seat after that run.
Yeah, and you wonder if that's just exhaustion that's starting to set in, as we'll get some whistles from the officials. They're going to take another time out here to check on Shmai Adams, and Adams actually sitting up here, and I think this is going to be an exhaustion factor here. We're going to take a break, however.
Can we keep it right here for 1 second?
Yeah, I think we're going to.
I just want to talk real quick. I want to give a shout-out to the Hall of Fame class, which they don't do very often with the NYPD. Joe Loughran, Dom Lorendi, Mike Diaz, Steve McAllister from the class of 2012, Kevin Corsi, Bill Higgins, Kevin Deegan, Paul Kostek, Keith Irving, and Ed Bonlaren from the class of 2014. Class of 2016, Steve Bernstall, Bobby Calabrese, and we're happy to see the Roanoke player. Okay. Tom Dowd, Mike Goodwin, Pete Moog, and Al Fariso from the class of 2016. I only mention that because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16. That's rarefied air, folks. What an honor to be in the finest Hall of Fame for New York City football.
Yeah, New York well on their way to winning another NPSFL championship. Their only 2 losses coming to the Houston Gunners back in the late 90s.
And it'll be the first, if they can hold on, for Clive Harding as the head coach.
Quick pass out to the far side. It'll be Edmonds with the ball out to the 40. He'll fight his way to the 37, and we'll get whistles as Roanoke continues to chip away at this 1:08 left here in this 3rd frame.
You know, if you don't mind, I want to give a remembrance shout out to defensive back Omar Edwards, who was killed in the line of duty, and Lincoln High School product. You know, I just think to see his mom, to this day, Omar's mom comes to almost every game of the NYPD, and I want to give a shout out to Omar's mom for her loyalty to this team, despite losing her beloved son, Omar. And you know, we always say never forget, and that's why I talk about it. I don't want to try to be too negative or down, but it's worth mentioning these guys.
Lewis Bell to Edmonds down to the 27-yard line and up for another Roanoke first down. 20 seconds left here. Clock will continue to run. We'll see if Roanoke will let this one ride out, and we'll head to the 4th quarter. And certainly I don't think Roanoke's going to complain about taking a few extra seconds as we wind down. 3 quarters of play here in Salem, Virginia. New York's finest with a 41-14 lead over the Roanoke Rampage. We'll step aside for a timeout as we switch sides of the field. You are listening to the NPSFL Division I National Championship here on Western Reserve Radio, a part of the iMedia One network.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
You're listening to WRDP, Western Reserve Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, Warren, Salem, and around the world.
Three quarters in the books here in the Division I National Championship. New York's finest with a 41-14 lead over the Roanoke Rampage. Roanoke with a first down now at the NYPD 28-yard line. So, again, a lot left here for Roanoke because they want to finish this one out. And they've been great hosts there. Unfortunately, things just not going their way during the game. Lewis Bell at the quarterback position now, as Adams now will line up as a receiver. He'll be the inside slot there. 3 receivers to the near side, 2 to the far side. Lewis Bell in an empty backfield. Back to pass over the middle, trying to hit Adams. Just couldn't connect on it. That would have gone for a big play had Adams been able to pick that one up just off the turf.
You know, the coverage there for the finest, number 45. I think that was 45. Or was that Basabi?
Not real sure. Some of them got their jerseys kind of tucked up a little bit.
It is. They're a little bunched up.
So 2nd and 10 now from the New York 28-yard line. Lewis Bell, the quarterback, subbing in for Adams. 3-step drop, fires over the middle. Looking for receiver down. It's going to be picked off by NYPD at the 3-yard line. Brought out to the 5, 10, out to the 20, and knocked out of bounds near the 27-yard line. Second interception of the day for Roanoke. NYPD will take over 1st and 10 with 14-13 left here in the game.
And the second pick of the day for Danny Roll. Wow. Roll has been on a roll here in the second half. Throw a little ham and a little spicy sausage. Danny doing it all. A little mayo, oil, and vinegar. And you're all set on that Danny Roll pick.
So NYPD will take over 1st and 10 at their own 28-yard line.
Not taking anything away, Jim, but that was a bit of a ball that got kind of stuck in no man's land, just sort of flopping around for
hung up there for a good time.
Long.
I think Lewis Bell knew that as soon as it came off of his hand. As clock continues to run here, 14:07. Also, congratulations to the Charlotte Cobras. They are the Division II NPSFL national champions. Shotgun formation again. They'll send a man in motion. That'll be Oberheim. 3-step drop. Fires over the middle. It's going to be caught at the 40-yard line. Brought out to the 45 and brought down at the 47-yard line.
And, of course,
Kyle Johnson on the reception.
Anthony O'Connell shaking that right hand. The Mansfield College product out of Island Trees High School has done one heck of a job in the backup position here today. I mean, I don't know what the snap count is for each guy, but it's got to be pretty close, Jim, 50-50, with Quinlan getting the bulk of the snaps, but O'Connell's not far behind.
Well, it looks like O'Connell kind of preparing himself for the future here, as he'll be in the shotgun. He'll send Oberheim in the motion, handoff up the middle, off the right side. Flag will come in and be brought down at the 47-yard line.
I think that's going to be a holding against the police department of New York.
Whitehead on the carry, but that's going to come back. 13:18 left here. Clock is stopped. I'll tell you, Sean Oberheim, watched him against the FDNY, and what an outstanding athlete. Can play the slot position, plays the tight end position, even on the outside at times. And he's been a great target.
34, 35 years old. I loved how he referred to his quarterback. He told me, I've got 100% confidence in Davian Quillen. He's a good kid. And I said, what does that make you, OB? And he goes, well, I'm one of the veterans on this team. I'm like, you look like a kid to me. But well said, Jim. He can do so many different things. He's quiet, leads by example, and just one heck of an athlete.
McGray now be the receiver to the far side. One-on-one, we'll keep an eye on him. O'Connell in the shotgun, running back to his left. And another flag will come in. See if that's going to be a false start. That'll knock him back another 5. Ball was at the 33-yard line. They're going to have to get to the Roanoke 42 for a first down, and we're going to subtract 5 more for the finest. And I don't care what score you're up to. That's got to drive a coach crazy.
Exactly. We might even see Sheridan back in this ball game having a punt. We haven't seen a lot of him with this dominant performance offensively for NYPD.
He'll send Donato in motion from left to right. 3-step drop, looks downfield, fires out to his right, complete. Bring it out to the 30 and the 33-yard line. The aforementioned Oberheim on the reception. And Coach Gessler tells me quite often, we don't have a play for 3rd and 37.
That's right.
12:29 here on a running clock, 4th quarter. New York 41, Roanoke 14. And these two teams will get together later on for a little end-of-season celebration as customary with the National Public Safety Football League.
Oh, man, I got to tell you, I can't tell you how friendly everyone's been down here, Jim. Really, just Roanoke in particular. Todd Farris, the defensive end on this Rampage team, has juggled so much.
Ball loose on the turf. And it's going to be under the pile. We'll see who comes up with it.
Busted play there that Quinlan just tried to kind of boot to somebody.
Brandon Quinn says they got, Payne says they got it. Indeed, they do. So Roanoke will get the ball. 11:57 here in the 4th quarter.
Well, you talked about making the coaches crazy. That play certainly personifies maybe a rare moment of sloppiness from the finest today in what has been a thorough, dominant performance overall. And a rare miscue there will give the Rampage the football in great position.
11:57 left here in the 2024 season. Roanoke with the ball now. We'll mark this at the New York 26-yard line. They'll go into kind of a semi-huddle. Some of the receivers, I think, try to stay to the outside so they don't have to run back and forth. And I think Austin Rowland said, I'll just stay out here. Maybe somebody will pass some information along for me.
I mean, we got number 72 on the O-line here for Roanoke. We don't even have this guy in the roster. So
Adams with the handoff up the middle, past the 25. Driving his leg down to the 20. And it's going to be Michael Johnson on the carry for Roanoke. And he's getting up a little exhausted himself.
You know, but that is emblematic of what MJ can do. Michael Johnson, that north-south runner, he is a load to take down. And, you know, we haven't seen a lot of that smash-mouth football. Johnson never really got going today, but showing what he can do there.
So Lewis Bell will be the receiver to the far side now. Adams back in the pistol formation. Roland will be the single receiver to the near side, moving left to right. If you're listening on the Live 365 app, hand off to Johnson. Johnson going to drive his legs down to the 15-yard line.
To a first down.
And indeed, it is going to be first down in the red zone for Roanoke as they continue to compete here. Just over 10 minutes left in this Division I National Championship.
I love to see Johnson get his due here today. Hard-working guy coming off a knee injury. Insisted on being in the lineup today.
Well, let's see if they can get him in the end zone to cap that off for him. As we'll have a mass exchange for New York. 5 or 6 guys on, 5 or 6 guys off for the finest. Rolling now to be the receiver to the far side. Adams now in a shotgun. He'll have a running back to each side, max protection. Lewis Bell, the receiver to the bottom of your screen if you're watching in on Facebook or Twitter. Adams back to pass, fires. It's going to be tipped high in the air, and it's going to be picked off at the 5-yard line and brought down at the 7. And an errant pass gets tipped, and New York comes down with it. I don't know officially who got it, but
none of that happens without big number 70, Matthew Weiss, the rookie defensive lineman.
And we've got some discussion going on down there. I'm sure it's about the after party, but the officials aren't going to have it. Flags are going to come in. And
oh, that was a good line.
Yeah, these are professionals. You know.
Weiss, though, great job defensively, busting up the play and getting to the quarterback. Certainly a big part of that turnover, and we do have another player down.
After an exchange of turnovers, New York will get the ball again inside the 10-yard line. New York well in control of this one. They lead 41-14 with 9:45 left here in this 2024 season.
You know, we talked about wanting Michael MJ to get his to get his due, Jim, and that was snuffed out on the turnover. I just quickly want to give a shout out to Tim Maypray, VMI teammate of MJ, who tragically passed away in 2019, and Tim played in the CFL as well. And MJ honors the legacy and memory of one of his best friends of all time, Tim Maypray.
Pitch out to Woodley. Woodley past the 5, 10, 20. He's going to break it all the way to the 40. Midfield, one man to beat, and he's going to be knocked out of bounds at the 37-yard line on the Roanoke side of the field. Big run by Woodley. That is disheartening for Roanoke. They've played tough here, but that may have just done it for this game.
The St. Anthony's product number 2, William Woodley out of Buffalo State. He could go. Oh, no! Woodley showing his wheels, but taken down from behind, and a huge play for New York City's finest.
So Woodley will have to take a breather as he'll go 3 receivers to the near side, pitch it out towards the Roanoke bench, out to the 30, 25, and knocked out of bounds near the 23-yard line.
That was number 38 on the carry for the finest.
Yep, Eugene Whitehead spelling Woodley.
You know, is it me, Jim, or are you starting to see a little more room out there? Meaning, guys aren't covering as much real estate, perhaps, as they were in the opening 15.
Yeah, certainly. They've given everything that they can in this game, and it's taking its toll on everyone. But again, we talked about the depth of New York, and that is just so hard to beat. So Jason Lewin now in at the slot. O'Connell rolling out to his right, fires, caught at the 12-yard line, and it's going to be knocked out of bounds. I believe that's going to be Kyle Johnson again on the reception for New York.
I want to give a shout-out to finest number 64, Tyler Frigerio out of Farmingdale High School, playing the center position. You can see him out there right now. Not an easy position to play, and he's been super consistent today. How many bad snaps have we seen? Maybe one on that pump, but that was the long snapper, and I think that was Obi. So Frigerio doing a nice job, especially working out of the shotgun.
O'Connell, quick pitch out to the far side. Inside the 10, 5, and into the end zone. New York will add 6 more. It's 47-14 in favor of the finest.
He broke the plane. Count it. Touchdown. Police Department of New York City have busted it wide open as they get close to the 50 mark here in the 51st edition of this football team from New York City.
8:13 left here in this game. Eugene Whitehead, he'll add 6 on as we wait for the conversion. Snap is back, mishandled. Fire call, they're going to be under pressure and brought down, and the score will remain 47-14, finest well in control.
I don't mean to laugh, but Lindley said, oh my gosh, I've got 3 or 4 Southern boys chasing me down. What am I going to do here? Running for his dear life. Lindley off the bat snap wasn't able to add another point on that, but it is 47-14, and Jim Craven, blowout city, man. It's been all fired up. Police Department of New York City. Wow. Folks, you know, as we approach the anniversary of 9/11 coming up in September. Let's see, how many years will it be? 23. 23 years ago. And we talk about never forgetting when it comes to the NYPD and the Port Authority Police Department, New Jersey Police Department. And I just, you know, throughout this Final 8, I want to read some of the names of the guys who gave their lives from the LEOs in New York and New Jersey, Port Authority, New York City Police Department, and the transit cops as well.
Roanoke going to pick this one up at the 15, pick it out to the 20, 25, and be brought down. That's where Roanoke will probably get the ball maybe for one of the last few times here, as Whitehead will actually be on the tackle. He just scored the touchdown, and we'll see if Roanoke is going to try to put something together here again. Roanoke hasn't lost any fight. It's been a lot of bad breaks for them here in the second half.
Just to piggyback on my last comment about 9/11, you know, so many guys working down in a pile for all those years continue to die at an alarming rate due to cancer-related illnesses, and there are charities you can donate to help in that area. Of course, Tunnel to Towers and different opportunities to give for both firefighters and cops that continue to struggle. Just a couple of names from New York City Police Department that rest in peace after losing their lives on 9/11. John Coughlin, a sergeant. Michael Curtin, John DeLaura, Vincent Dans, Jerome Dominguez, Stephen Driscoll, Mark Ellis, Robert Fazio, Rodney Gillis, Ronald Klopfer.
You talk about so many great heroic stories that came out of such a tragic situation.
And you hear never forget, and I don't care what people think. I don't forget, and I say their names proudly. Police Officer Stephen Driscoll, New York City Police Officer Mark Ellis, Robert Fazio, Police Officer and Sergeant Rodney Gillis, Police Officer from New York City Ronald Klopfer, Langone, Leahy, McDonald, John William Perry, Glenn Pettit, Thomas Langone, James Leahy, Brian McDonald, John William Perry, Glenn Pettit, Claude Richards, Timothy Roy, Moira Smith, Ramon Suarez, Paul Taldy, Claude Richards, I think we went through that before, So anyway, we thank you for all your service. Timothy Diller, of course, losing his life in the line on the job just a short month ago in Queens, New York.
Adams under pressure, going to bring this out to the 30, deliver a low shoulder blow, and be thrown out of bounds at the 31-yard line. And I don't think Adams is done today. I mean,
that's 6'3", 230 right there. And I guarantee you that's a shoulder problem right there.
Yeah, he dropped his shoulder and really didn't hold up on that.
Oh, boy, you can hear that up here, and I got headphones on as well.
Contact.
Jeez.
And again, this is late in the game here, so again.
Man, hats off to Adams. Boy, he's taking a pounding today. And with 6:13 to go, look at the fight in this kid. My gosh. I love these guys. I really do, all of them.
So Roanoke, 3rd and 3.
Oh,
ball at the 32-yard line. And makes me happy to be in a broadcast booth and not on the field anymore.
Adams has worked his tail off today. He's had some big plays as well. And a backup role, not an easy position to be in.
Lewis Bell back to pass under pressure. Going to get rid of it. And pass was intended for Roland. It got knocked away.
Adam Landsberg, I mean, you talk about textbook. Deny, deny, deny. One eye on the ball, one eye on the QB. And just like they write it up, one hand smacks that thing away. They taught that kid well at Cortland State. Now, showing us his talents here on the gridiron for the finest in New York City.
Well, Lewis Bell will continue at quarterback. 4th and 3 now for Roanoke. They're going to go for it. Not much to lose here with 5:26 left in this game. Michael Johnson now going to split out to the far side. He'll be the slot, to the inside now as Matthew Lewis Bell will go to the empty backfield. Now back to pass. Quick pass over the head. And Roland's going to pick that one up and take it down to the 45, 40 inside of New York territory. And he's going to cut back near the 20 and finally going to drag a few players down to the 16-yard line. Austin Roland with a catch and run.
Who was that, Mark Bavaro? That guy was amazing.
And he'll have to head to the sideline for a break.
Out of Lynchburg PD.
He tried a little bit of the Heisman Trophy pose, but I think the fatigue sat in.
Roland.
As he'll go down on the sideline, he'll give him a high five and hopefully.
Rumbling, stumbling.
You know, and so many offenses that you see now don't use tight ends or those type of players, the bigger receivers. And I've seen that from New York, and I've seen it from Roanoke today where they've used fullbacks and tight ends, and it's been nothing but the physical game.
He had nothing left. What a play by number 9, Austin Roland. I love it.
So Lewis Bell now with Johnson to his right. Receivers in tight for Roanoke. They'll send a man in motion left to right. Lewis Bell going to take it himself past the 15, and he'll get down to the 13-yard line.
You know, Bell didn't have a lot to work with there, Jim, but you got to like the patience. I mean, there's been 3 guys behind center today for the Rampage. Bell's had some success, but just reading the line, hey, maybe there I can find a seam, maybe something will open up. And like the patience and the vision there from Matthew Bell out of the Virginia Department of Corrections.
Well, Roanoke trying to end it on a positive note.
Why not? As this clock continues to tick, folks, don't go anywhere. Post-game, Jimmy, we got MVP award in addition to the National Championship Trophy presentation. Jeff Smith will do the honors, the commissioner of the NPSFL at the 50-yard line.
Off the right side, past the 10. It'll be Persinger down to the 9.
My gosh, these guys are hitting.
3rd down for Roanoke. They can get a first down right at the 6-yard line, so a lot to work with here.
I mean, Eugene Whitehead, he's like a battering ram, and he might have caught the worst of that one.
And he's been playing both sides of the ball, actually. So
you might want to Whitehead. He's got some ram's horns coming out of that helmet. Man, and he took that one in the chest. I don't know how he's still out there. Shows his toughness. Whitehead's had a great game today.
So twin receivers to the far side. Cameron Scott will be the outside receiver. Lewis Bell in the shotgun. Bell back to pass, three-step drop, fires over the middle, ball's tipped, and it's going to be incomplete. That one will fall to the turf. Clock will stop with 2:22 left here in this game. It'll be 4th down now for Roanoke as they try to add just 6 more before the end of this season.
Hey, man, Game 7. Who would have thunk it? Edmonton and the Panthers. I know your boy plays hockey, Jimmy. I mean, down 3-0.
Never saw that coming. Never
Edmonton
saw it coming.
Roaring back, and Game 7 will be in Florida, right?
Yeah, Lord Stanley's Cup has made an appearance a few times.
Monday night at 8 on ABC. What are your Browns doing this year, big guy?
Well, I wish we'd. I'm going to hold my tongue for a minute.
Yeah, we got business to take care of.
You talk about quarterbacks. I think Joe Flacco kind of showed them what the problem was. As Lewis Bell now waits for the snap, 3-step drop, fires over the middle as a man open, intended for Roland, and it's going to be incomplete.
What a job there by number 29 in the secondary, John Shea out of Massapequa High School. Just relentless, no one giving up on either side. You got to like the fight in both these teams.
And this is something.
Despite the score.
This is exemplary of the National Public Safety Football League, and you talk about people with character.
Look at the hitting that's going on here.
And phenomenal athletes. You can't argue that. I'll tell you, there's some top-notch athletes out of here that could probably have done a lot more if they didn't decide that they wanted to be into public service.
Look, we only got a little time here. Let's talk a little bit about your vote for MVP. Defensively, I got to throw Roll into the equation with a couple of picks. Offensively, Woodley, Johnson, certainly in the mix. I mean, you could even argue the backup quarterback could be in that conversation with a couple of touchdown throws.
Yeah, they say if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one, but New York has completely disproved that one. Quinlan will ride this one out. He'll hand this one on right off the middle. Now past the 10 as the clock will continue to run. 1:08 left in the 2024 season.
That should do it. Well, what about the O-line for the finest? I mean, take your pick.
Big, strong, fast, with depth. It's really hard to beat.
All right, so if you had to pick one guy for the MVP, and the teams are going to vote on this right now, so let's just for fun.
I'm going to say William Woodley. I think he really broke the back of the Rampage with those big runs and getting into the end zone twice today, as New York's going to go into the best formation you can go into if you're on that side. That's a victory formation. Quinlan taking a knee with 30 seconds left here in Salem, Virginia. New York will go on to win the Division I National Championship here by a score of 47-14. And we knew a lot of factors were in the favor of New York, but nonetheless, 2 great programs, one very well established, one that is becoming one of the premier teams in the league.
Congratulations to head coach Clive Harding in his first year as head coach. Defensive coordinator Billy Sullivan and the entire New York City Police Department football team. You are the 2024 NPSFL National Champions. Way to go, guys. Way to go. Nice work.
An impressive 2024 season for the finest. And much like some of the greatest rivalries in football, if you get the win over FDNY and you win the national championship, that is certainly the perfect season. We're going to step aside for a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll give you a scoring recap. We'll get you ready for the post-game events, and we'll wrap this one up from Salem, Virginia. You are listening to the NPSFL Division I National Championship here on Western Reserve Radio, part of the iMedia One Network. We're right back after this.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
Catch all of the spring and summer action of Cleveland Cobras minor league football on Western Reserve Radio. Follow the Cobras as they compete against teams from around the region in pursuit of a Tri-Point Football League championship. And if you're looking to continue your football career after high school, college, or even the pros, or to be part of the Cobras staff, go to Facebook at Cleveland Cobras Football, or contact owner Jesse Caldwell at 330-416-3442. Be a part of the excitement of Cleveland Cobras football.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
Accidents happen. That's why you need Repair That Glass. Specializing in windshield replacement and all other auto glass, we offer a full range of automotive glass repairs. Our technicians can do everything from minor chip repair to a complete replacement. Your windows don't go up or down, they can fix that too, along with custom glass work and antiques. Repair That Glass is a family-run business for over 40 years. Repair That Glass. Call for your appointment now at 330-534-3192.
One last time here from Salem, Virginia, as we wrap up the 2024 Division I National Public Safety Football League Championship. New York PD's finest. They get the 47-14 win over the Roanoke Rampage. Both teams meeting at midfield as they get ready for the trophy presentation. We'll take you down to Jeff Price, president of the NPSFL.
Roanoke, great football game today. Great season. Nothing better than two undefeated football teams coming together in battle, and you guys are class acts, both of you. I've had the pleasure of playing against both of you through the years, and I do appreciate both programs. I'm Jeff Price. I'm the president of the league. I'm the Dallas coach, for those that don't recognize me. Those that do, don't throw anything at me. I want to congratulate, first of all, the 2024 national champion NYPD finals. Congratulations, Coach. Congratulations to a great program, and you've had an outstanding season. Now, for the 2024 National Championship Most Valuable Player Award. This is voted on by both teams as well as administration to determine who gets this honor in 2024. This year, the MVP goes to running back number 2, William Woodley. Gentlemen, great job, great representation of the league. Keep doing great work out there in your communities, raising money for our charities, and that's what this is all about. And remember our brothers and sisters that we've lost this year out there doing the job. Thank you all. Congratulations again.
So congratulations to New York PD's finest. They get the 47-14 win and take home another national championship trophy to the Big Apple. We'll take a look at the scoring recap as the NYPD would get the scoring started first with 6:33 of the first quarter. It would be Woodley getting into the end zone on a 27-yard run. That would put the finest up by a score of 7-0. And then at 2:46 of the first quarter, it would be Obenheim on a 30-yard touchdown pass from O'Connell, and that came at 2:46 of the first frame. Second quarter action, it was a 46-yard pass from O'Connell to Johnson that would add another touchdown on for NYPD, and then it would be Lewis Bell to Brown for Roanoke on a 65-yard touchdown pass that would get Roanoke on the scoreboard. Woodley then would add another 19-yard run for the finest, and then it would be O'Connell to Porcelli for a 34-yard touchdown pass, and that would round out the first half for this championship game. No scoring in the third quarter, however. It would be Brown Fort Roanoke on a 50-yard run at 13:02 that would add another touchdown on Fort Roanoke. They would get the 2-point conversion. Persinger would get in and find the pylon. And then would be McGrain on an 18-yard touchdown pass from Quinlan at 3:53 of the fourth quarter, and Whitehead would get into the end zone one more time for the Finest at 8:13 on a 12-yard run, and that would bring us to our 47-14 score as John Heffernan will go down there and try to get a word with Woodley, the MVP of this year's national championship football game. Again, I want to remind you, over on Western Reserve Radio 2 and all over our social media, will be the Cleveland Cobras. As we go to John Heffernan down on the field with William Woodley.
And all over the world, live on YouTube for tuning in today, trying to bring this league to even bigger and higher places. So I want to thank everybody for showing up today. Joining me now, the MVP of this game, running back number 22, Will Woodley. Will, how important was it for you to create and set a tone early and get on the board? 2 touchdowns for you today.
Pretty much right over line. They had a mindset to come out and dominate today. They helped me get free, get into the open field, and the rest was history from there.
You know, you had not only yourself getting into the end zone today, McGrain, just to name a few. Of course, your guy number 9, Kyle Johnson. So many weapons offensively. What does that say about the future of this team and the dominant performance that you guys had offensively today for the Finest?
Well, the NYPD, we're in a new era right now. We're definitely up and coming, new talent, and we're just going to continue to grow and continue to get better each and every day.
As far as Clive Harding, first-year head coach, he gets his first national championship win as a head coach. Tell me a little bit about what he's meant to this team. He's been a part of it since he was a teenager. What does it mean to be able to learn from a legend like Clive?
Clive Harding is definitely a player's coach. He's able to communicate to us. He's able to, help us out every day from our day-to-day practices and make sure that we get better.
There you go. Well, I'm trying to see if there's anyone else I can grab, but we only have a few more minutes on the air. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, once again, your 2024 NPSFL undefeated national champions and winners of the 2024 Fun City Bowl, New York City Police Department's finest, MVP trophy to number 2, Will Woodley, 2 touchdowns today. This one's going to last for a while. Congratulations and best of luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Finest, your 2024 champions. Congratulations to Billy Sullivan and head coach Clive Harding. They got the trophy and no one can take it from them. Jim Craven, take it away and say goodbye to everybody. That's it from the field. Let the party start, everybody. Thank you, Roanoke. Great job, great hosts, and a beautiful stadium here at Willis White Field, Salem football. John Heffernan for Jim Craven. We'll see you next time, everybody. Enjoy the summer.
John Heffernan down there with our MVP of the game today, William Woodley, as we wrap it up here from Salem, Virginia. And again, we want to remind you, coming up, we're going to join you in. We will join in progress the Cleveland Cobras and the Erie Express. And again, we want to thank you for joining us here today in Salem, Virginia, for the 2024 Division I National Public Safety Football League National Championship, and the NYPD Finest get the 47-14 win. I want to thank my partner, John Heffernan, for joining me today. Absolutely had a blast with him, and we will certainly continue our conversation tonight as both teams get together and celebrate, as is customary, with the NPSFL. And we certainly encourage you, if you have a team in your market or if you don't have a team in your market, get out to a game. It's a great way to get involved with first responders and see them in a way that you normally wouldn't be able to. And great athletes and people that run this organization. Spent 10 years playing in this league and do not regret one bit of it. Had so much fun, did so much good with the league. Want to thank Bill Safranco for all his time here and having me come down here and throw my name out here to have the privilege to broadcast this game here from Salem, Virginia. Of course, again, we are at the home of the NCAA Division III Alonzo Stagg Bowl. Of course, if you're from the Youngstown area, you've seen this place multiple times as Mount Union makes a regular appearance here. So again, over on Western Reserve Radio 2, the Cleveland Cobras and the Erie Express will battle in a matchup of undefeated teams. And we will see you next week as the coach, Bob Gessler, and I will return as we bring you more Cobra football here on Western Reserve Radio. So for John Heffernan, I am Jim Craven. Want to thank you again, everybody, for joining us. And it was my privilege to be here today in Salem, Virginia, as the NYPD Finest get the win by a score of 47-14. We hope that you have a good night and an even better weekend coming up. Good night, everybody.
We thank you for joining us for this special presentation of Western Reserve Radio. And we now return to our regularly scheduled programming.